Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory Online Summit. This is Gertrude Matcha here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia, and we are yet to meet another group of fascinating women coming to us from all over the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. My first guest is coming to us from New Mexico. Now, I have very fond memories of New Mexico. In fact, the idea for the Her Story movement was birthed in New Mexico, and Meta was one of the first women who stepped up to come and participate in that event when I was working for the University of New Mexico. So, welcome. It's so lovely to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you.
So, I'm just going to read out a bit of your bio so people get to know who you are before you launch into your speech. So, you have experience in diverse fields, including Fortune 500 companies, higher education, and nonprofits. Agility in seeking solutions, tenacity for success, and synergy with teams. You are an agent of change for improving systems across large and divergent organizations, requiring close collaboration and generating consensus. Right now, you're the Chief Information Officer and Vice President of Information Systems. Wow, you come with so much, Meta. I'm excited to have you here to launch our day. The stage is yours. After you finish speaking, we will have a Q&A session where I would love to pick your brain and find out more that you can share with our community.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be part of such a fantastic grouping of women. And I think our hope for the future in so many ways is really about women being in leadership roles. And so um, have done computing a long time, but I've also had segues. So I thought I might just do a little of my journey. I'm 65 years old, so I've been at this for a while. When I got my undergraduate degree in actually food science, something so different. I worked in breweries and I helped make beer, and then I went to get an MBA. And I got that in systems because I felt like information systems, that was where that's where things were happening. This is 1985. And I thought you could see that microcomputers were coming into the world, and that was really going to change business. And I still always feel technology is great because usually you're in that part of an organization or a society where change is happening. And in that intersection of change, I think is always, intersection of people and change is always the exciting part. So, and I feel that still today. So those first coding jobs were in a mainframe computer on using COBOL. Probably no one knows what that is, but it's really old style, like coding stuff. Did that a long time. And then I got really sick. I got asthma, which turned out to be not related to living in New York City, but I did leave there. And eventually I taught at the university, but eventually I got healthy through yoga. And so for about 12 years, I did yoga, and then I opened a yoga studio, and I wrote a book on yoga that has 10,000 copies sold in 3 languages. I'm very proud of it because I think it's a book that covers all of yoga, not just poses, Sanskrit and chanting and philosophy. And then I kind of was done with that. It's a tough business to make a living in, to be honest. And I went back to technology, and that's where I am now. And I really am so strongly committed to diversity in technology. If we don't begin to include more people at the table, for sure in general at the board level, but in all levels of technology, we are never going to get the solutions that we need. People bring themselves, right, wherever they go. And to have women at the table and discussing, some things are so obvious. Like, I don't know if most people have smartphones today. When Siri first came out, you could say to Siri, I'm having a heart attack, what should I do? And yet, sorry. And yet, if you ask Siri, I'm being raped, it would be stumped, right? We know so who made that? Who made those set of questions? That's just one example. There's the really amazing woman from MIT who was working on artificial intelligence, but also on machine learning and reading faces. And she discovered that her face, she happened to be an African American, wasn't even seen by the AI, right? She put on a white mask and it was seen. And so she She kicked off really the instigator of understanding the implicit bias that's in a lot of facial recognition and artificial intelligence in general. So those are the things I'm really hoping that I can get more women involved in technology and to step up to be leaders. And so often, you know, we all grow up in the water we swim in is patriarchy. It is men always, they say something and it's smart. We say something and it's not. And I think those dynamics are going on from what I can read all the time. I see it. I still experience it. So I think that's part of why I think this community is so important, because I think we need to really support each other in not being embarrassed. Maybe nobody knows everything. I don't care who you are. Nobody knows everything. So you have to have that ability to ask a question, to be comfortable answering the question, and to not feel like we're less than or be told we're less than because we can do that. And so I actually wanted to make a specific pitch today, checking my time. So far, so good. I want to make a specific pitch today for two things: diversity in technology, encouraging people, women, to be in technology. And there's so many ways to do it, and they're not all expensive. There's a fantastic platform called freecodecamp.com, free as in it's free, code camp, one word. And that is a program I worked on it when I just got out of the yoga business to learn more, to kind of get, to remember what I'm supposed to do, to be retooled, sort of, to learn more. And I stepped in on that just the first year it was started. It's worldwide. It's run by amazing people. Every week, they give a whole list of things, a way to study. Anyway, that's accessible worldwide for anyone. And I encourage women to, if you're interested in technology and that entry level coding stuff, I really encourage Free Code Camp. You don't have to pay money for it, and you get hooked in to this global network. They have all these platforms where you can ask questions. Like, I remember I was up one night, this is when I just was leaving the yoga studio, and I couldn't answer a question. And that happens all the time, right? That's the nature of it. It's like a puzzle. You got to like puzzles to do technology. And I thought, well, no one's going to be able to answer this question now. I was stuck. And so I went online, and somebody from Romania gave me the answer and helped me out. Like, they were awake in Romania. And so they helped me out. And that's what I love about the global community, that, you can plug in and plug out and get help the way you need if you have a safe place to do it. And so I wanted to make a shout out for Free Code Camp. But there are other also great resources. And all I would say is, let's just be really careful that we're not going to be in a space that is hostile to women, because there are technology spaces that certainly are that. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was security, cybersecurity, because I feel, again, if there are few people in technology, few women, it's even fewer in cybersecurity. And this is a fantastic field. Unfortunately, we live in a pretty precarious time. I was just talking to Gertrude before we got on. I thought it was sort of funny that I lived in New York City for a number of years, and bagels and cream cheese are just like, the beans and rice of vegetarians. Like, everybody has bagels and cream cheese, and they're in a crisis now, a New York crisis, that is, they're running out of cream cheese. They call it schmear. They're running out of schmear. So I just read an article that even that is cybersecurity. You think of cream cheese, how? Well, the second largest maker, I guess the first is called Philadelphia, but there's another maker. They were hit with ransomware, malware, and they were shut down for 3 days. That 3 days is all it took to stop the supply line of schmear. So there's hardly a part of our society that isn't susceptible to bad actors. There's a fantastic book, if you are interested. It actually just won a book of the year, a business book of the year. It's by a terrific woman. Her name is Nicole Perlroth. And the name of the book is This Is How They Tell Me the World Will End. And it's all about the cybersecurity wars. And it's told she's a journalist, and she covers, initially cybersecurity that goes way back, a couple decades, and how it's evolved and what's happening in cybersecurity. And it reads a little bit like a novel. It's actually the stories of the people who are doing this. And there's this incredible oddball secondary market of people who sell their skills to break things and to make malware. Anyway, I feel like that is a real area for women to be involved in, and you can join it. You can become an entry level cybersecurity specialist. There are a lot of other women's organizations which I've joined that help each other. And again, you find these kind of what I call safe spaces to learn. To me, learning is my whole life. I love to learn. Learning is like how we stay alive. And so, but you can't be in a situation where you're embarrassed to ask a question. And I actually it's called Capture the Flag. It's kind of weird, CTF, but it's part of what hackers do. They try to figure out how to get something. And it's a game you play, but really you're learning some cybersecurity skills. So I signed up for a weekend, and I swear, if it hadn't been the answer that I got from it was all women, I would have left, because all of a sudden what I was using wasn't working. And when you're following along and everybody's following along and everybody's doing it and you're the only one, you think you're the only one. Turned out I wasn't. You just think, well, I don't want to look dumb. I don't want to be the one that can't do this. But what I did is copied the exact code the error that I got into the chat. And the chat person the helper said, oh, thank you for that information. That helps me find the problem. And she figured out what it was. And probably if I wasn't so nervous at that moment, I could have done it too, but it was nice to have help. And I got back on. But that's that kind of moment where if someone is just friendly to you and helps you, then you keep going. And the instructor was amazing. She was so good at that, just super way above, very, very good at cybersecurity and all this work. And so I thanked her on the Slack afterwards and said, I really appreciated it. I learned so much. I got to do a bunch of stuff I hadn't done before. I made a virtual machine, blah, blah. And she said, I am always wanting to help people. I want everyone to feel that they're welcomed in this space, because I was, and I didn't know anything at the beginning either. So anyway, and right now I'm studying for this thing called the cybersecurity or certified information security professional. And it's more of a global role. It's not like capture the flag. It's more of what are the governance issues and the issues of security of networks and frameworks. And it's probably not for people that are just beginning in technology, but there are tons of certifications that you can take. And there are lots of ways to get funding for them, which I have known about. If anyone's interested, please, I'm sure my information will be shared with the team here. But I hope you feel free to reach out to me if this interests you at all. I feel like it's a great field for women because there are so many jobs. They pay really well, and heavens knows it's a growth industry. So that's my pitch for cybersecurity. I hope some people get involved.
Absolutely wonderful, Meta. This is just incredible. You and I share something in common. So my first profession was in COBOL programming. So
what?
I am a first generation coder. I programmed in BASIC, Pascal, and COBOL back in the day.
Pascal was my favorite.
Oh gosh, we are dinosaurs. You don't get to meet people.
I know, no one knows it.
So it just warms my heart to hear that you had that beginning as well. And you're right, technology is the future. And right now, there's so many opportunities online for women to get these kind of jobs. Now, I'm going to ask you to just type in the private chat, the website you mentioned where people can register to do these courses so we can share that. Because the Herstory movement is all about empowering women with knowledge, with skills, things that they can do to change their worlds. Hey, Kay, wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining the panel.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Okay, just introduce yourself quickly before we go into our Q&A session.
Well, yes, hello everybody out there, and hello to Miss, I don't want to pronounce it, but hello to you as well. I am Kay Johnson. I am from the United States. I am a founder of Inspired Bosses, an author, and now a public speaker as well. And so I'm just glad to be here and be in the graces of you ladies.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. So we were just talking to Meta, and if I'm mispronouncing the name, correct me.
So, my problem is now is that Mr. Head of Facebook has taken my name, META, and made it into the metaverse, which I think Facebook is like the root evil of the world personally. And so for him to take my name, but it's actually meta, rhymes with data, metadata.
Meta, okay.
I was a coder
It's always good to
that's what they call me, metadata.
It's always good to pronounce people's names correctly. I'm very sensitive about that. So people can actually find alternative work online. And a lot of women think that going into tech is a very difficult thing, but there are courses that you can do that can enable you to get work online. And not many people know about this.
Absolutely. And I did put Free Code Camp in the corner. I so much respect the founder and his mission. It is truly free. It's not like a scam. There are a lot of scams out there too. And they, in Free Code Camp, from when I think I did it maybe 8 years ago, but when I did it, it was just really coding HTML, it's websites. But now
Yes.
there's a whole data discussion. There's whole data management. There's machine learning. There's all kinds of, it's such a great way to learn about a lot of things going on, find out what your niche is, and then definitely they help you find jobs. And a lot of them can be remote, which is, I think that's one of the upsides of the pandemic. I know it's a lot of downsides, but we have, I think, made remote work more mainstream.
When I worked in New Mexico, I worked with a nonprofit. I volunteered with a nonprofit called Cultivating Coders.
Oh, right.
And we were going onto the reservations of New Mexico, working with Navajo women and teaching them to code. My sound went out for a minute. So we were teaching Navajo women to code. It was sponsored by Microsoft. They were given the laptops after they did a 6-week boot camp. And we found that on the reservations of New Mexico, there's fiber optics. But the only employment you can find is if you are working in the casinos. So a whole lot of women managed to get work. They were taught how to make websites, how to make apps, how to be virtual assistants online. So it was a fascinating project. And you're really right that now technology is in our hands. Literally, you need a smartphone or you need a good computer and you can actually get some work online.
Absolutely. And now New Mexico still has one of the worst rates of broadband or internet connectivity. And so with the new infrastructure bill and also with some state money, we're hoping to get in all different ways connections. They actually have a blimp that goes up and shoots Wi-Fi down. They have all kinds of ways because, as you know, if you've been in Navajo country, there are large expanses of nothing.
Yes.
Part of its charm.
Wow. Yeah, New Mexico has a very special place in my heart.
I'm glad.
It really does. Kay, do you have any questions to ask? I'm not sure how much of the presentation you heard. We're talking about cybersecurity and women finding work online.
Yeah, I heard some of what she was saying, but cybersecurity is still a new world and a new language for me to even talk about or even know about. But I'm definitely excited about the opportunities for women who want to work in that field. So I think that's really great. And especially, I agree with the remote work. COVID-19 and globally did have a lot of downsides, but the upside is people being able to work from home and is more flexible. So.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've just managed to get into is the development of apps. In creating the Herstory movement, I wanted to find a way to keep our community connected. And I just won the New Zealand Australia Women in Tech Award for the app that I've designed for the movement. I've now attracted investors who are helping raise the $1 million we need to create the platform. And this app is not only going to keep us connected as a community, but it also pushes out a course that I've developed for speakers. Like I told you, most of our women are women over 50 who've never spoken before, who've never used their voices. So I'm looking for those women who are at a crossroads, widowed, divorced, separated, about to retire, wanting to reinvent their lives. And the app has got multiple facets to it. It pushes out a course that is self-paced, so you can self-pace yourself. It connects you with an accountability partner, so you can work with somebody else and keep each other motivated and inspired to get your speeches out into the world. It also has a payment gateway. So I'm from Zimbabwe, as you know, and in Africa, we don't have access to the internet in most countries. But people are transacting using their phones, using telephone technology. And the way I pitched the app was, imagine for a moment a woman in a village in Africa designs a tribal necklace, sends the image through an app like WhatsApp to a designer in New York. And that necklace ends up on a runway for New York Fashion Week. And she gets paid what it's worth. And the money is transmitted back onto her phone. So that's part of what we're doing with this app, is
Beautiful.
showing women ways to make money, helping them use their creativity, all of their skills, and really leveling out the playing field in giving them access to the global marketplace as well. So I'm really happy you came and you were the first speaker this morning. Wonderful to reconnect with you. And I really thank you for your time and your energy in what you're doing at the moment.
My pleasure. It's great to be part of the community. I look forward to hearing other people as well.
Fantastic. And feel free to stay with us if you can, or watch on Facebook or YouTube if you have to go. I know you're at work. Absolutely wonderful. But let's reconnect, because I have a few things I want to talk to you about in terms of you helping me set up a boot camp for women to learn about cybersecurity and how they can find this work.
I am super interested in that. You know, there's a woman named Kat Norton who has this thing called Miss Excel, MISS Excel, and she teaches Excel, which is used all over in businesses, right, in a very interactive, fun way. And I'm inspired by that. I'm going to take her course tomorrow just to see it. But that's what I think we need for cybersecurity. We don't need, there are plenty of things online and they're kind of slow paced. And I think we need something really fun. And I would love to help people develop their own content. But that's what I think we need, really chunky, concepts. They're very accessible, you know?
So do email me the details of this workshop. I might just join you.
Okay, I will.
I want to thank the people who tuned in and listened to your presentation. I've got Erica Harris. Erica, lovely to see you, one of our members in Vancouver. I can see Angela Teet. Angela saying, keep up the good work. Angela is based in Singapore. Wonderful to see you this morning, ladies. Thank you for contributing on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So Mita, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Send me the information. I'll join you for this thing tomorrow.
I'll do it. Okay. Take care.
All
everybody.
right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So Kay, put your name so everybody sees who you are. And you are going to be my co-pilot for the day.
Awesome.
I'll introduce this next speaker and you'll introduce the one after. Our next speaker is a gentleman who is coming to us all the way from Australia. Mark Warnick, I hope I'm saying your name right, Mark, is a social media speaker, a social media trainer, and expert. He helps businesses, salespeople, and companies to understand the use of social media to generate leads and increase their sales using LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Mark has shared his Facebook link, which I will put with his video, so that if you are inspired to get in touch with him, please do. He is a man with a wealth of knowledge. So Mark, thank you so much for contributing to our platform and being a part of our movement. As you all know, we are welcome to men speaking on this platform. 25% of our speakers are male. And I believe that until we start introducing men and bringing them into the rooms where we are discussing women's issues, nothing much will change with the condition of women worldwide. So thank you so much, Mark. Wonderful to have you with us. I know you couldn't be here in person, but our community will give you feedback about this presentation as well.
Hello everyone, Mark Warnkin's my name. As it's been already explained, Sydney, Australia, 5:30 here on a Thursday night, and Gertrude's a couple of hours ahead of me there in Wellington. My story is my birthday was yesterday. 54 I turned yesterday, so there we go.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I got lots of messages across multiple of the social media platforms that I'm on. But my history is I'm a single dad here in Australia. I have a 17-year-old son. And I've been involved in the corporate business world, I suppose from a work perspective, I've been involved in corporate business sales for most of my life, well over 30 odd years, and still are involved in that in some aspects today. But about 6 years ago, I stepped out of that and I really started to embrace the world of social media. Coming from a business sales background, I understand how hard it is for business owners and companies to generate leads and increase sales because, I've done that my whole life. And then I saw some of these amazing tools that the world of social media was offering for free, like LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. These are amazing business tools for free. And that allows us to open up opportunities and do business with the world like we've never, potentially, had opportunities to do in the future. So, coming from that sales background, I saw what the possibility of social media was giving business owners and brands. So I've effectively jumped out of corporate selling, and I've got my own online coaching online business where I work with business owners and brands, and I teach them the fundamentals, the steps for generating leads and increasing their sales using social media. And I cover that across 5 of the main platforms. Yeah.
So social media.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say social media is a daunting thing for a lot of people.
It is.
A lot of small businesses are having to pivot, put their businesses online, and have no idea where to start.
Correct.
So if we had somebody listening in tonight who is like, which platform do I start on? Take us through a step-by-step process on how to make that decision. Where is a good starting point?
And Gertrude, that question, which social media platform should I start on, is probably in the top 1 or 3 questions that I get asked from business owners and brands, and just people in general as well. So, and I answer it with generally, well, it all depends, because firstly, you want to be seen where your audience is. You want to fish where the fish are. But equally, you need to have the right bait as well. There's no use going fishing if you don't have any bait, because it won't work. Equally, if you've got the right bait, but there's no fish, it's not going to work. So that's, I suppose, a roundabout way of saying you need to identify who your target audience is, your target market. And if they're the younger generation, they're possibly going to be Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube.
Yes.
I'm around age 50 odd, not 54 now. But 7 out of 10 Australian adults are on Facebook. So that would generally mean 7 out of 10 business owners here in Australia are on Facebook as well. So if your ideal market is people around 40, 50, 60, then maybe Facebook might be the initial platform to you start focusing on. And the third example I'll give that, if you're involved in corporate sales, maybe LinkedIn is going to be the platform that you should be diving into first, because that's where your corporate, your business to business, opportunity, your prospects might be hanging out. But while saying that, quite often you have a LinkedIn person who's on, a corporate person who's on LinkedIn during the day, but at home sitting on their lounge watching television, they might be scrolling on Instagram.
Yes.
Because remember, we're all human beings first.
Let's talk about, yeah.
And social media offers us so much, entertainment, information. Sometimes it's business orientated as well. So firstly, you need to identify where your target market is hanging out. And then I would say really start dominating on one of those social media platforms first. And then once you've dominated one, start spreading your message across maybe a second or a third.
Okay, so you kind of have to really get your head around one platform and then migrate your way right across from there, correct?
I would think that's the best way to do it, because if we try and spread our eggs, in too many baskets, initially, you end up becoming too thin, or your presence, you're really not cutting through on one of the main platforms, and that's what I would suggest. Now you can do it whatever way you want. These are just my suggestions, and I've done that completely. I sort of did that with LinkedIn and then YouTube.
Right.
But yeah, try and master one. Really, really become dominant on that platform, in your industry, in your niche, in your product or services. But quite often you can quite easily, spread that message across another platform really easy. Now, to give you an example, you can post from Facebook to Instagram at the same time.
Yes.
So it's sort of like, okay, well, if you set things up correctly and you're really strong on Facebook, why not create an Instagram account and start posting to that at the same time? You're doing the work on Facebook, just tick the little box and it starts going to Instagram straight away.
Okay.
So there's things like that you can do.
Now that's really interesting. Now my platform that I play on the most right now is LinkedIn. I find that it's very, very targeted to the kind of people I want to connect with in business.
Yep.
It's very business focused. I know exactly who I'm talking to, what they do professionally. Now, you have put out a video on how to get 1 million views on LinkedIn. Tell us a little bit about that. LinkedIn is an interesting space that a lot of entrepreneurs are failing to really tap into in terms of building their businesses and their brands.
Absolutely. Well, LinkedIn was the first of the platforms that I started out on about, it's more than 5 years ago. It's probably 6 or 7 years ago. And it made sense because I was coming from that corporate sales background. And I, like most people, I was just sort of wasn't doing too much with LinkedIn. I was just sort of messing around at the edges. And then one of my, I got asked, Mark, I see you're on LinkedIn and you've been in sales. Can you come and teach us how to use LinkedIn? So I really had to start. I had a crash course on LinkedIn within 1 week, and I had this aha moment, Gertrude. These epiphanies just went, LinkedIn is amazing. Invisible but can become visible once you understand how to use LinkedIn.
Yes.
And remembering, I'm coming from that corporate sales background where you would make, 30, 50, 100 phone calls or door knocks a day. So then I suddenly went, LinkedIn is amazing. Every person in business should be using LinkedIn. So one of those posts that you did mention, and I released a YouTube video on that just recently, was how I got over 1 million views on a LinkedIn post. Not only 1 million views, but 7,000 comments as well. So
that's crazy.
Now, in a way, that was, where you hear the term, it's sort of gone viral, but
yes,
viral videos these days get 30, 50, 100 million. So, but what I did, it was very, very simple. I was getting some corporate photos done for myself, like lots of us do.
Yes.
And I had some photos done in 4 different types of business shirts.
Right.
And I just put those 4 photos up on LinkedIn and said, hey, everyone, I'm updating my, personal branding. Which image of me do you like? A, B, C, or D? So it was very simple, but I understood what I was doing because I had seen someone else do it.
Do something similar, yes.
Yeah, but I wanted people to tell me which one they preferred.
Okay.
But I thought, I might get a bit of a good result here. So the elements that I used, I had I had 4 photos. So the image was quite engaging straight away. And then it was, can you vote which image you like best?
The most.
So then it was a call to action.
Yes.
And then I made the response easy. A, B, C, D.
Okay.
I didn't have to write anything. It was just A, B, C, D. So I put it up, and then I remember before I went to bed and it was like, I'd had like 15,000 views on that LinkedIn post. And I went, and I'd had like 200 or 300 comments already. And I went, oh, okay. And I was busily responding to them all. And, you know, and then in the morning it had 170,000 views.
Oh, wow.
And then 1,000 comments. And by the end of the day, anyway, over about 2 or 3 days, over 1 million views. And this is the power of social media, because people started sharing it and liking and commenting. Other people in the LinkedIn network, other people in the LinkedIn community started seeing Gertrude commented on Mark's post. So people in your LinkedIn network saw that you
start to share it.
Yeah. So, and that's the power of social media it makes me so excited is, you know, I did that post once, didn't go to too much effort. I just plonked up 4 photos.
Yes.
And from that, my LinkedIn network absolutely took off, and I've been able to replicate that a few times. But there was a little bit of luck in it as well, I suppose. Yeah. And now the world of social media is a lot busier. That was about 5 years ago, that one. The world of social media is a lot busier, and to get cut through, we need to all work harder and smarter. Yeah.
Now, I noticed that you really know how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to draw attention to the things that you're doing. A lot of people will just put on their CV.
Correct.
And yet you have done some very strategic things. Let's go a little bit into that as well.
Correct. You are correct. And equally, so do yourself, Gertrude. I had a look at your profile. Your LinkedIn profile is pretty good, and I will refer to that one because it is a good one as well. I do. So basically, in the world of social media these days, we need to stop the scroll. We literally have seconds to stop the scroll.
Capture the person's attention.
Yeah. This is, well, not even on the world of social media. If you're scrolling the morning news feed, if you're on Google, whatever it is, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, no matter what you're doing on your device these days, we have to stop the scroll because people are so quickly go through. So we need to stop the scroll in a few ways with an eye-catching image, whatever it is. Now, if it's you in your business, you know, make it business professional, reflecting you and the job that you do. So if you're a corporate personal trainer, you want to look like a corporate personal trainer.
Yes.
You want to be there in a polo shirt. You want to make sure that you're looking fit and healthy. And your professional headline underneath that might be helping busy business professional in Wellington get in shape.
Okay.
Or, you know, if you were, for myself, you know, I've got social media trainer, speaker, expert, helping, actually now I've got to remember what it is. I change it sometimes. Here we go. Oh, no, here we go. Social media trainer, speaker, expert.
Yes.
So people go, oh, social media trainer, yeah. Helping business owners and sales teams stand out and grow their sales using LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. So when someone's scrolling past, they might go, oh, we like the look of Mark. He looks clean cut and friendly enough. He's a social media speaker and expert, helping business owners stand out and grow using LinkedIn, YouTube. Hopefully they've seen that within 3 to 5 seconds. It stopped the scroll and they've started to engage with me more. They've gone, okay, Mark, you've got another 20, 30 seconds to impress me.
Yes.
But equally, Gertrude, I want to just mention yours as well, because you do some great things as well. You've got great eye-catching cover image. Sorry, I forgot to mention.
Banners is your real estate, right?
That's right. The banner image, the cover image. I should have mentioned that one first. You've got a great photo of you actually speaking on stage.
Yeah.
And then you say, I help speakers, authors, coaches land a TED Talk.
Okay.
Perfect. In some ways, that's all you need to say. But you get more real estate, so why not take advantage of it?
Yes.
But yours is perfect, like your elevator pitch. What do you do, Gertrude? You might say, I help speakers, authors, and coaches, Mark, get a book for TED Talks.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
cool. I then go, well, how do you do that? And you'll say, well, what I do, Mark, is I have this and I do this. I have strategies and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And Yeah.
Then you can
So-
give them the roadmap. I
Yeah,
love that.
So optimizing your profile for success is the absolute key, because if you've got a bad looking LinkedIn profile, people won't stop and you'll
They
be
won't even
invisible.
stop.
Yeah.
Now, the power of video. I've noticed that you use video a lot.
Yes.
You've got an amazing YouTube channel. By the time I got to meet you tonight, I felt like I knew you. I like, because I watched quite a few of your videos, right?
Excellent.
So videos give you instant credibility in terms of you as a professional. You are talking about what you do, and I kind of sense that you really embody your knowledge just through the videos that I watched. But again, a lot of people don't know how to optimize their videos. Let's go into that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you are correct. Video is the most effective way for us to promote our business or brand. 70, 80% of content online is becoming video content. Now, this is just video content in general, whether it's on YouTube whether it's on Google or LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, whatever. Video content is the future. It is not going away. So my tip for everyone is learn how to create videos that help promote you, your business or brand. It is not an option anymore. You have to do it. If you don't do it, your competitors will, and you'll get left behind. So optimizing videos and things like that. Okay. People then say to me, Mark, well, look, I don't know what videos to create. And I say to people, that's okay. What are the top 3, 5, or 10 problems you solve for your customers? And they go, oh, well, that's easy. I help them with this. 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 And I go, great. There's 3, 5, or 10 videos ideas straight away.
Okay.
And then they go, well, how do I know whether they're any good? And I go, well, time will tell whether you do a good video. But the first, you have to come up with ideas. And I always say, what do you do? What problems do you solve for people?
Yes.
And people go, well, I do this. I go, come on, you must be more than that. And then they go, yeah. And then they go, and I say, you should be able to come up with 20, 30, 50, 100 problems or 100 things that you help your customers with. So
I love that.
There you have your big list of ideas.
Okay.
Then you need to now record them and edit them and upload them to YouTube. But the key for every video is the first 3 to 5 or 10 seconds, just like stopping the scroll. Remember it's all about stopping the scroll. It is so much more in video because someone's going to watch your video and they've got their finger here going, I'm going to click stop or move on. You literally have to grab their attention. And I'll show you I'll give you a few examples on how you can do that. So let's just say your speciality is stopping dogs barking. Let's just say that. Pretty universal. Most people can get it. So if I teach people how to stop their dog barking, I might open a video like this. Are you laying awake at night with your? Let me say let me try something different. Are you struggling to get your dog? Hang on, let me find. Here we go. I put myself on the spot. Struggling to stop your dog barking all day and every day? Well, stay tuned because in this video, I've got 5 simple tips that you can take action on straight away, and they're coming up right now. So the person who's watching my video is seeing
it's
the
not going to
title.
exit. Yes.
No, yeah, that's right. Because the only people most likely watching my video, they're wanting to stop their dog from barking.
Yes.
So again, struggling to stop your dog from barking at nighttime. Stick around because in this video, I've got 3 simple tips that you can start implementing right now. So people will go, oh, I need to know those 3 tips.
Yes.
So, and the way I do it with my videos, what would be, let me quickly have a look at one of my recent videos and the way that relates for some of the things that I do. Here we go. Are you a beginner to Twitter and still have no idea what it's even about? We'll stick around because in this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step beginner's guide to Twitter, and all of that's coming up right now. So someone has seen my video, it's Twitter for beginners. And I've said, are you still a beginner on Twitter and have got no idea how to use it? People go, yeah. Well, stick around because I'm going to teach you and that's coming up now. And they go, oh, okay, well, I'll stick around.
Think of it as so television. Kind of posing that question
Yeah.
and getting them to say yes.
Yeah. So think of the television commercials. They say, and we're going to a break, but don't go away because coming up after the break,
Yes.
and we all go, oh, okay, well.
They'll
Yeah,
keep you hooked. Yeah.
Keep you hooked. So that's the key, is to come up, with your thumbnail, your title, but that first 3 to 5, 10 seconds, you need to start giving people straight away. Otherwise, they'll go, oh, I don't like the look of you, or this, or this, or this.
Because some people will ramble on and give an introduction and say who they are, and that's actually very off-putting.
Yep, and I've made that mistake as well, because going back now, I've got 115 YouTube videos now, and my first 50 videos, I rambled a bit at the start because I saw other experts doing that as well.
Doing the same thing, yeah.
But I have a look at the YouTube analytics, and the drop-off rate, people just drop off straight away.
Yes.
Right? And I've had comments, get to swear word, point. People say, Mark, get to the point. So in the world of video, unless it's entertaining, like if you're teaching, if your videos are how to,
yes,
it's like people want to just show me how to do it, how to make scrambled eggs in 3 minutes.
Yes. Do it in 3 minutes. Don't go and say,
don't give people,
I'm about to show you how to make it.
But if yours is like there are some things where you can take, people understand it takes time. So what I now do, Gertrude, I get straight into the video, and then after a minute or two, that's when I say, hey, everyone, and don't forget, if you're watching this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because, I have weekly videos like this that will be helpful for you as well.
I love this. So I coach a lot of women to brand themselves, to get themselves out into the marketplace. I believe the world is flat now because of the internet. I sit here in Wellington, New Zealand. I've got clients in Japan and Zimbabwe and the US and Canada, just all over the globe. And it's just fascinating to be able to sit on your couch at home, make good money. And a lot of people are struggling with, how do I create a good brand? How do I grow my tribe? How do I get known for what I'm doing? And then when I am known, how do I get the sponsorship? So sponsorship is another big issue. People want to know what draws organizations in to sponsor you when you're, especially on YouTube, putting out video content. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Now, when you say sponsorship, what do you mean in regard to that? You mean advertisers or?
Yeah, brand sponsors. Okay. So you can actually start monetizing your YouTube channel.
Okay. Well, firstly, I suppose the first opportunity. Well, let me say this another way. With video content, okay, I come from a social media background for business owners, helping them generate leads and make sales. So generally when I talk, it's around how can you make sales and grow your business. You're allowed to say in any video, hey, this is my product or service, please buy it. You're allowed to say that. That's the number one mistake business owners, they don't ask for the order. Now you can't do that every time, because people will go, I'm sick of Mark. All Mark's doing is selling. So the idea is value, 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 buy now.
Okay.
So it might be something like, here we go. This is a good example, mountain bikes. If you have a bike shop and you sell mountain bikes, you might, you're allowed to say, come to my shop and buy mountain bikes.
Yes.
but in between all that, you might be giving good, simple tips and information on how to service your mountain bikes, and some tricks you can do, and how you should store it, how you should wash it. Because what happens is you become that authority. They go, well, this guy knows everything about mountain bikes.
Yes.
And he's only half an hour away, and I'm going to look at buying a mountain bike. I'm going to buy my mountain bike.
Go and see him. Yes.
And just when your mindset starts to shift, you might see the ad from the mountain bike says, hey, we've got a great sale this weekend, 20% off, 50% off. Come and buy the mountain bikes. And you'll go, I'm going to buy the mountain bike. But firstly, your efforts on social media, you are allowed to say, this is what I do. Would you like to buy?
Okay.
You can't do it all the time because you'll turn people off. But what happens is, over your YouTube journey, once you get enough videos online and enough watch hours happening, you're allowed to, you enter YouTube's partnership program, where companies are allowed to start advertising through your video.
And what is that point? How many watch hours?
It's 4,000 watch hours. and it's 1,000 subscribers.
Okay.
So you do need to be up and running. Now, for most people, there's a couple of experts out there who've done some research, and it says, for a lot of people to get 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers, like it's 9 months and 100 videos or something like that.
Right.
It's a lot of time and effort. For every person that goes viral, there's 9. For every 1 out of 10 person that really takes off, there are 9 people like myself who it was been a hard road. Excuse me. But you learn when it's hard.
Right.
It was like my viral post. It was like, oh, this is easy. 1 million views. I've only been able to replicate that a few other times.
Right.
But yeah, the idea is that, on video content, I say to people, record a video every day and upload it to every place online. Because
Right.
in 30 days, guess what? You'll look back and go, oh my God, wow, look how much I've done, because it's practice, practice, practice. Video is not going away.
Yeah.
Business owners, influencers, brands, whoever dominates video the best will win. And dominate it, I mean, by quantity of content, information, entertainment. You could be the mountain guy. You could be the mountain shop guy, and you do teaching how to fix your bike and how to clean your bike and how to jump over off ramps. It's entertaining. And then you might say, hey, have a look at my bike shop. We just got another shipment today. We've got 130 of these new mountain bikes. They're normally $1,000. We're selling them all this weekend for $750. Come into my shop and buy now.
I love this. So how do you help people, Mark? Let's say, for instance, I came to you.
Yep.
I've got a whole bunch of videos on my YouTube channel. They're not in any specific order. And I know I need to go in and clean things up.
Clean all of them up. Basically, I work as a business coach, and I work side by side with my clients, generally over a 12-month period, where we can, get continual improvement happening. Because going back a few years ago, I would work for people and give them a few sessions. I would give them the tools. Well, let's go back to that fishing analogy. I would give them the fishing rod. I'd give them the bait. I'd tell them where to go fishing, and they wouldn't do it.
Nothing happened. Yeah.
And they wouldn't. They'd do a little bit.
Yes.
Then they'd stop, and I'd say, "Why did you stop?" And they went, "I didn't have time." And I said, "You have to make time." So I used to work with people just a short time, and I'd give them the tools and they wouldn't use them. So I changed now. I like to work with people over a 12-month period where we get incremental growth. But I then only work with select people. I ask them, what, as a commitment, out of 10, how committed are you to mastering and learning social media?
Yes.
So I really only work with committed business owners and brands now.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have some programs where people can still buy, and it's all up to them to do it. Of course, I have that.
Right.
Because it would be silly not to. But basically, I work with them as a business coach, where I identified what their knowledge gaps are, and we work doing that. I teach them, I coach them,
Step by step.
Yes, step by
So
step.
you're almost like an accountability partner. You hold them to the goals that you set.
Yeah, because otherwise I've seen it, and we've all seen it. We've all bought a program for $97 or $297.
And not done anything.
And not done it. And because it's the $97 or $200 is a lot of money, but it's, for most people, they go, well.
Yes,
it seemed like a good idea. But the idea, if you make the investment more for people to get in, but you then work with them for a long time, they see the value. So the money doesn't become the issue. It's like, am I going to change the way I'm doing business in 2021 to embrace social media? And if people say, well, I don't know, I go, it's not the right time for you, Robert.
It's not the right match. Yeah, and it's interesting that ever since I pushed up my fees, the people who pay the most are most committed to getting it done.
Yeah, that's right. It's like it's like, what is it? When you burn the escape boats, you're committed.
Yes.
So that then means, yes, I say to people, I say, look, I had a gentleman the other day. I said, look, where you're at, Philip, I said, where you're at, just have a look at my YouTube videos.
Yes.
It's all I've got there. Where you're at, you can watch my YouTube videos for free over and over again. If you then need more help, let's have a further chat to see whether we're a good fit.
You're a good fit.
Because
Yeah.
I only now work with committed business owners. And he went, "Oh, I'm not committed." And I said, most people aren't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most
I
people
love that, because this is a good tip for anyone who's listening, who is a business coach, who's out there looking for new clients. You don't want to set yourself up for failure by taking on clients who aren't committed. So you're about results, you're about success.
But I like most business owners, you know, early on, any sale was a good sale. Because I was learning as well. When you teach people, you learn. And as I said, I do have low priced programs where people can buy, and essentially it's an online course where they do it themselves.
Yes.
And I explain that to them. I say, hey, look, this is what you're getting, and this is all you need.
Yeah.
If you're really, really committed, I'm giving you everything.
Yes.
But it's like, here we go. This is a good example. We can all sign up to the gym and go to the gym on our own.
Yes.
But some people then were happy to pay a personal trainer extra.
Yeah.
Because
to get the job done.
They need that. So for all of us, we might pay $50 a month to go to the gym, and you can go as many times as you want. Other people will pay $50 a week to work with a personal trainer.
Yes.
Because it's just their mindset, where they're at, how much help they need. Yeah.
So how can people find you, Mark? This has been a very fascinating conversation.
They can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay, awesome.
And you can message me on any of them. People say, Mark, where's your website? And I go, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter are my websites. I don't have a website. I don't need a website. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. This has been a fascinating conversation. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in. I told you we will be bringing on professionals who can help take your game from where you are to where you want to go. We're going to persuade Mark to run some workshops during our webinars and our seminars. So stay tuned. And if you want his contact details, by all means, inbox me. This is Gertrude Matcha here in Wellington, New Zealand. Have a fantastic evening wherever you are in the world. Bye for now, and thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was an interesting conversation.
That was.
The use of social media. Welcome, Ruth. Hopefully you are there. Maybe not. So Ruth is having some challenges, I know, in Zimbabwe. Are you there, Ruth?
Yes, thank you, Gertrude. Hello, everyone.
How are things going?
Oh, all right. Still no power.
Still no power in Zim. You've got my photograph on your profile, so it looks a little bit weird, like I'm talking to myself.
I have to change that.
You might want to change that, but it's good to have you on the call, Ruth. So, Kay, what was your take with this last presenter?
Can you hear me good?
I can hear you, yes.
Awesome. Well, I really liked how he really simplified getting more active and getting more views on LinkedIn, because currently that is what I am aiming to do. So it was really beneficial for me. And I know so many more startup companies and startup business owners as I am myself. So I really like the 4 simple steps, or the few simple steps that he gave about posting pictures and saying hello, introducing himself, and then giving a simple call to action. I think the simplicity is what always helps us win. And then I also really enjoyed the portion where you asked him about, so where do I start? If I'm a new person and I want to get onto social media, where do I start? And he gave us two simple avenues, which was for him, LinkedIn and YouTube. I currently hold both of those accounts as well, and I've been doing my thing there. So I really like that he gave us those simple steps, and he says dominate. And I've heard this before, dominate, master that one platform. Then it's easier to get your followers or your audience to transfer, go to, or transition to the next social media platform that you enjoy. So I really like that portion of it. And then I really, at the end there, when he was talking about clients and who's committed, and the people who are willing to pay more money are usually the ones that are more committed. So it just gets you it's a learning curve for sure. He said he messed up along the way, and he saw all of the work that he put in because he would upload it. So it's really about, for me, I think, just diving in there. But the key thing in all of it was just being consistent. And he said, make the time. And a lot of the times we will tell ourselves or sell ourselves the story that we don't have the time, or
Yes,
got in the way, which things do happen. I won't be insensitive to that. But if you really are going to be truly committed, you have to continue to, it's going to be hard. And he even said, out of 10 people, there's that one person, or if there's 9 people, there's that one person that make it, but the rest of the people are like going uphill, and it's harder for that person. So I think I'm on that uphill, harder for that person. Seriously, I gotta keep going. But I really love how he said it's okay to say, hey, this is my product, buy it. Not say it like that, but introduce your product and get people over to get that order. So his presentation was phenomenal. He's very, very wise, and he shares freely. So I think my question would have been to him, how much do you share or not share on your YouTube? Because he talked about, people working with him, and he's saying, well, where you are, you just go to my YouTube and watch these videos and you'll be fine. So I think my question would be, okay, how much do I share? Like, I don't want to overshare to the point where they won't need my help. But awesome presentation, very insightful.
Yeah, no, he's a fascinating man. And a lot of the things you've said, I have actually been implementing in my own practice. I give away enough content for somebody to be able to do it without me. The X factor is, if you do have me on your side, I can get you there much faster. So I have a lot of free courses that I give away. Like, I wrote a course called How to Write a Book in 40 Hours. And people can literally, from beginning to end, write their book if they follow that video. But the juice that's missing is me. So what people are investing in is my expertise, my knowledge, my experience as an author in writing and marketing books. That's what they're paying for my coaching. Even when I do my webinars are full of content. I will probably give away a whole chapter, a whole chunk of text in video form that people can use. And when people see your value, that's when they pay. And I've now reached a decision where I won't take on any clients for less than $5,000. My smallest coaching package is $5,000 US. The highest one is now $30,000. And I'm getting really good quality clients. Like I said, people are committed and they show up. They do the work if they pay that kind of money. So it's a decision you end up making. And I also want to not exchange my hours for dollars anymore. When you're dealing with lots of people, it's lots of personalities. Yet if I just get 10 clients who pay me $30,000 a year, I'm happy for the year. So it's a business decision you'll make as you go down this path. But the other thing I loved about the presentation was knowing which social media platform your clients are on.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So because I work with women over the age of 50, Facebook is the best place for me to find them. And when I'm looking for that more professional woman, I use LinkedIn. I am very wordy. I have no idea how to use Twitter. I can't abbreviate my message into just a few words. I can't do it, and I hate it. I hate it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh my goodness, me either. I'm like, I don't know. I can't.
So that was a fascinating presentation. Thank you so much, Mark. Lots of content that you gave us. So, Kay, you're going to introduce our next speaker.
Yes, Jessica Lynn Day. She holds titles CPC, ELIMP, and ACC. Jessica Day is a New Jersey native who went from a New York City public relations executive to a professional certified leadership and life coach. She is a certified professional coach, master practitioner, Energy Leadership Index assessment, and an associate certified coach through the International Coaching Federation. Jessica leads her life from a place of compassion, empathy, and kindness, and is passionate about supporting others in discovering their unique talents and strengths so they can live in alignment with their values and find fulfillment and purpose in their future. She supports people in uncovering their true selves and offers support in finding ways to take meaningful action toward reaching their goals. After years of searching for her purpose, she finally found it in her work as a coach, and it has become her mission to help people find their gifts so they too can feel inspired and energized in all that they do. Each of us is greater and wiser than we appear to be, and every single moment is an opportunity to decide who you want to be and what kind of life you want to live. The choice is yours. Again, Jessica Lynn Day. Is she going to be doing a presentation, or is she here live with us?
So I'm just trying to cue her video. She's not going to be able to be with us.
Okay.
And for some reason, my technology is acting up. But let's try again. That's very strange.
Mine is moving pretty slow too. I don't know what's up with what's going on.
Yeah, something isn't quite right. I might actually have the video online, so there's another way to do this. Give me a second.
All right.
It's strange because we've been good up until now. We haven't had any major issues with the technology, but for some reason today, something isn't working. The first video played okay, but it's always good to have a backup. So let me see if I have her. I do have her video here, which is great. Technology is great when it works, and when it fails us, you need to have a plan B.
Oh my goodness, it makes it difficult to do what you need to do. But for the most part, it supports us and what we need to do.
That is very strange. Okay, so I'm going to have to play the video instead. So if you guys just bear with me, I will cue up the video.
So my name is Jessica Lynn
And
Day.
we will have her
Intimidated by the people.
Speak in a minute. I'll just mute myself while I line it up. Give me a
Pleasure of
second.
other people wanting to make other.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. I will share the video because we have it online. And here we go.
Absolutely. So my name is Jessica Lynn Day. I am based in New Jersey in the United States. And I will be 34 in a couple of weeks, so it's almost my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you, thank you. And I am a certified professional life and leadership coach. And I launched my business this past year, right at the height of a pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it's been wild, but fun and exciting every moment of it. And I'm here today with you, as you said, to share my story. And my story, I think, like many women, started when I was a little girl. When I was very young, I was always very intimidated by other people. I was very shy. I had a lot of anxiety all the time. And over the years of my life, I created this kind of people pleasing sense about me where I really started to live for the pleasure of other people, wanting to make other people happy, wanting to make sure that I wasn't ever starting a confrontation. I wasn't ever making someone uncomfortable. I wasn't ever expressing an opinion or a judgment or a thought that someone could potentially disagree with. And that really led me onto this journey of starting a career in marketing and public relations where I felt really lost and always intimidated by the people around me, always feeling like I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough. I felt like I couldn't get to that next level because I just felt so misaligned with everyone around me. And I realized it was because I was not being myself. I was not expressing myself. I was not sharing what I actually thought about anything because I was so afraid of people not liking me. I wanted people to like me so badly. And, I'm a very genuine, kind person. That's one of my strengths. I really genuinely love people. Yes. And I think that as a strength, it also hindered me because I was so focused on being kind and genuine. And I was so focused on other people. And it got to a point where I was really depressed. And I was working in jobs that I didn't like. I was working late hours. I wasn't making any money. I was really stressed all the time. I felt stuck. I felt worthless. I felt like I'm never going to get out of here. Like, this is my life. Like, every day is the same. I'm never going to have an exciting life. I'm never going to be able to travel or buy a house or find a husband because who's going to want to be with me? I'm just like this loser who's stuck in this life. Oh. And yeah, it was it was a very low time. But I discovered self-development. I discovered therapy. I discovered coaching. And I never knew what coaching was before, but I happened to just find people who were coaches along my path. And I built up the courage to ask them, hey, what is this coaching thing that you're doing? And I took a leap and decided to enroll myself in a program. And through that coaching program, not only did I learn to become an amazing coach, but I also learned so much about myself. And I learned that I had created stories, I had created assumptions, I had created all of this nonsense that was not true at all, and that I was capable of creating new thoughts and new ideas about who I wanted to be and who I actually was. And it's amazing what has happened to me because I went from someone who kind of hated herself and felt like I didn't deserve anything to now living literally my dream. Like, I live at the beach. I married a wonderful husband. We have a new puppy. I have my own business. I'm in charge of my schedule. And I'm authentically expressing myself, even when I know that someone might disagree with me. And I'm okay with that. And it's been amazing.
So, okay, let's just unravel and go right back to the beginning. As women, we sometimes don't even see our own value. We have those little crazy voices in our heads telling us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not worthy. How does one stop that chatter? Because we are our own worst enemies, right? Mm-hmm. What would your advice be to somebody who's experiencing this lack of just not knowing your own worth?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And it really, it takes a lot of self-reflection, I think, to understand how to really get to the core of your feeling worthy, right? So a lot of times we go through life not understanding what is actually holding us back. So we don't know what we don't know. We don't realize that we're reacting to things because of a specific reason. Yes. So me being a people pleaser was a reaction or a symptom of the fact that I was insecure about myself. Yeah. And so I think, one thing to remember, or one thing to kind of maybe start out, is to tell yourself that in this life, the only thing that we can control is ourselves.
Yes.
You cannot control anything else.
No, you can't.
You can't control what happens to you. You can't control how people react to you. And so when somebody tells you something that makes you feel bad, a lot of times we take that and we think, oh, okay, that must mean there's something wrong with me because this person reacted a certain way.
Yes.
We don't realize that person is acting that way because of who they are and because of what's going on in their life. So their circumstances have shaped them into who they are, just like us. But what's
more
amazing,
about them than you.
Exactly. And what's amazing, though, is that when you realize that your circumstances do not have to shape who you are, you don't have to be a victim of your circumstances. You can choose to show up however you want. You literally can create every moment to be exactly what you want it to be. So if you're having an experience that's negative and it's making you feel really badly, you have the power and the control to change the way you're thinking about that. So looking at it as an opportunity, like, what am I learning in this situation? Why is this happening? It's not because I'm bad or wrong, or I'm not pretty enough or thin enough or smart enough. It has nothing to do with it. And so it's changing your thought process, which takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of practice, but it's remembering that what you can do for yourself is to, like, you deserve to love yourself. You deserve to accept yourself, and to know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now in this moment, even if you feel like you're not, because things aren't going well. There's a reason why it's not going well, and what are you learning, and where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? And tell yourself that is who you are. And
so self-love is a difficult theme for most people.
Yes.
And I always say that when you hear those voices speaking, would you say that to somebody else?
Exactly.
And a lot of times we are so hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The words we articulate, we would never use them on another human being.
Yep.
So as a coach, take me through a process. I've come to you, I'm needing your help. I found out that you're this amazing coach who could help me just feel comfortable and good about self and move on with my life. Take me through a 3-step process, or what do you do as a coach to help?
Sure. Well, let me ask you this. Let's start with this. So it sounds like you are struggling with some self-confidence. So tell me, what would you like to, we have a few minutes here to chat. So what would you like to achieve in those few minutes that we're talking here?
To overcome my fear of speaking in front of people.
Okay, speaking with people. Okay. So why is that important to you?
I always find that when I'm in a group, I just don't have the courage to air my views or be heard.
So when you are with a group of people and you're trying to have a conversation, or you're trying to speak up and share your voice, what comes up for you? What feelings come up for you when you're in that moment?
Extreme anxiety and fear are the two main things.
Sure. Okay, and so what typically goes on in your head? Like, what are you telling yourself?
Is this really important? Are my views worthy to be aired in such a meeting? Or I listen to something somebody else has said, and I think, oh gosh, that was really smart. Will my ideas come across as smart? And I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's interesting because you said, are my ideas worthy?
Yes.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, when you talk about worthiness, 1 being not at all and 10 being absolutely, how worthy do you feel?
Probably a 5. I'm kind of in the middle there somewhere. I feel I have something to say, but just not sure it's worth putting it out there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it makes sense that you'd have some nerves, right? Because I think we're always, especially with public speaking or just speaking to a large number of people, that's actually one of like the biggest fears that we all face is putting ourselves out there. So it makes sense that you'd have some nerves about that. But I'm curious, when you talk about, being at a level 5, what would have to happen in order for you to be at a 10?
Courage to feel the fear and just do it anyway. I love your process. I love your process, Jessica. I can actually see what it is you do to help people. So let me take you back to a moment in time, to the younger you, before you discovered all of these methodologies and ways of gaining self-confidence and self-worth and loving yourself. If time was an illusion and you could go back to the younger you and have a conversation with that young woman, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give her based on what life has taught you up to this point?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I actually think about that often. I think what I would tell her, first piece of advice is that I would probably say to myself, you are a very creative, vibrant person who has a lot of love to give. And that is a good thing. And to express your love and express your creativity. I think the second thing I would say is that what other people think about you is none of your business, and that this is your life, and it is your right to show up as an individual and to follow your personal dreams and goals. And the third thing I would say is, and it's possible to be successful following those dreams and goals, no matter what anyone says to you, because you're passionate and you're ambitious and you're beautiful.
Okay, so on the same vein, if time was an illusion and your past, your present, your future existed in the same timeline, and you could teleport to the 100-year-old you sitting on your porch, having lived this amazing, authentic life, what would you say to her?
Good job. That's a great question. It's a great question. I have not thought about that.
I feel like you are living as a full expression of who you are right now.
I definitely try to be. I think what I've learned throughout this whole process, this self-discovery process and getting into the coaching, is that being grateful for things has really opened my eyes, because as you know, as everybody knows, life is unpredictable, and I don't know what's going to happen to me, tomorrow, 5 minutes from now. I have no idea. And being grateful for the people that I have, being grateful for the experiences that I have, being grateful for the ability to like have my health and to be able to do this, start this business and have support, and whatever it is in your life that you are grateful for, to stop and actually be present for the moments.
Yes.
Because that's really what it is about. Like, for me, I believe that life is I believe we are meant to be happy. I really do. And I know that there's a lot of pain and suffering in the world, but you might not be able to control the feelings that come up for you when something terrible happens. You're going to be sad or angry, and that's perfectly normal. And it's good to sit with your feelings. But then you have a choice. You can continue to be sad and be a victim, and then to tell yourself that your life is terrible. Or you can choose to move forward with that experience and then now the knowledge that you have, and move forward in a different direction. And I think that for me, I just try to look at everything as an experience and an opportunity. And that is why I think I'm so positive, because even when people like are terrible to me or things happen, I always think I really believe there's a purpose for it. And I think that attitude has just allowed me to, it just makes it a little easier, you know?
So whatever's coming at you in life, you just think there's a reason for this. And even though you don't understand it in the moment, the reason does reveal itself with time, correct?
Exactly. It's like 100%. You know, in this moment right now, I might not know the answer, but I get comfortable with that. So I allow myself to be comfortable knowing that I cannot control what's happening, but believing that it's going to be okay. I don't know what that is, but I know it's going to be okay. And I just constantly remind myself of that. And that's the thing with self-love and self-care and positivity. It is a practice.
Yeah.
So you have to tell yourself that. I have notes all over the place reminding myself of all these little things, because it's so easy to get lost in your thoughts. I mean, and I still do it all the time. I absolutely have moments where I get down, right? But then I pick myself back up. I don't stay there for too long.
Yeah, you have to decide to get up.
Exactly. And that's the thing, because we all suffer. I mean, life is tough, but you don't have to stay there.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so I'm going to end our interview with another weird little question.
Okay.
Is there anything I should have asked you?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. Is there anything? So one thing that maybe I didn't mention, or maybe you asked me this in a different way, is, and perhaps this is a part of my answer from the beginning, but as a part of this journey that I'm going on, and a part of what I want to do with my life, is to really inspire women and people to be themselves. And you know, when it comes to that self-love, I think recognizing your unique strengths and your talents and your quirks, like even something about yourself that you think is super weird or strange, something that maybe you're hiding because you think other people might not get that is what makes you amazing. And so I used to beat myself up because I was so kind. This is what I was saying before about being like a people pleaser. I was so kind that I would let people take advantage of me. And I thought that was a weakness. And then what I realized was that my kindness is not a weakness. And I should not let people take advantage of me, but it's okay to act kind when someone is not being kind to me, because what I realize is that it's about how I feel. And if I'm showing up with kindness in a situation where maybe someone's not being kind to me, I actually feel better, because I feel like I handled the situation that was authentic to my values. And it's really not about the other person, it's about me. And so, you know, I would say to people who struggle to be themselves in situations, to really think about what their values are, you know, what's important to them, and to react with those values in mind, and to make choices with those values in mind. I think that really can lead you to a fulfilling life when you're aligned with what you truly believe and what you truly want. And whether that's, you know, family or, you know, whatever your values are, always having those in the back of your head when you're making decisions, because then everything will come together and you can really be this whole person and really show up authentically. I don't know if that answered your question.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this morning. You are an absolute ray of sunshine. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. I am meeting some of the most fascinating women with the launch of the Herstory magazine. And Jessica, it's been an absolute honor. I wish you luck with your coaching program, and we will include all of your contact details on the article for the magazine as well, so people can contact you as well as on the podcast. Have a fantastic day, everybody, wherever you are in the world. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing woman sharing her story. Bye for now. Thank you, Jessica.
Yet another amazing woman.
Yes.
What I love about Jessica is just how she reminds us to remember who we are. Self-worth is a huge problem for most women. That lack of self-confidence that stops us for asking for what we really want. What was your take, Kay?
Wow. Just her opening up about how she felt about herself. It's really relatable in a lot of ways because we internalize so much of false realities, whether we've heard it from someone else, whether we got denied from some type of opportunity or some boyfriend or some relationship drastically ended in some type of way. I really liked how she made that part really relatable. And then the thing that she said was her gift or something that was really unique about her was her kindness. You know, most people want to say things like, oh, I can do all these bizarre or these really, I guess not, I want to say far gone, but so it's not as simple. She just literally said kindness is her thing. And her genuineness for really loving and liking people. And I definitely saw some common ground there between me and her, especially when she talks about self-worth. And I liked her process when she deals with her clients because it really gets to the root of the problem. It helps them to see, okay, you know, where are you? Where do you want to be? And helping them cast that vision and also just demystify or get rid of all of those false realities that we've told ourselves or something that we've learned along the way that really wasn't really true, and dealing with that younger self and really bringing her up and really restoring that confidence in her. So I really loved everything about what she was saying, and she didn't even think about what to tell her 100-year-old self. And I don't sometimes think we think that far. We're just like, I'm trying to get through the 30s. I'm trying to get through the 20s. I'm just trying to make it through college or university. So I really was excited that you allowed us to see her process and how she asked questions, but also to let her think on her feet about what she would say to her 100-year-old self. And a simple good job can do a lot for someone. So I really enjoyed what she had to say and her transformation from feeling like, no, I'm nothing, I don't have anything to say, I don't want to share, I can't share, or whatever that was, to I'm sharing and I'm helping other people share. So that was beautiful. You're on mute.
She's a fascinating woman, and she shares the story of many women worldwide. It is a more common story than it's not. So thank you so much, Jessica, for showing up and reminding us all who we truly are.
Mm.
So our next speaker is Lori Cheek. You have her bio.
Yeah.
Let's cue up her video. I'm going to try and cue up the video. I think I've discovered what was wrong with the technology. We're running out of space on StreamYard. So I've cleared some space. So if you read the bio, I will cue up the video.
Awesome. I'm really having a great time doing this. I love to read people's bios, and I love to do it with such energy that really introduces this person, whether I've met them or not. So up next, you all, we have Lori Cheek. Lori Cheek, architect turned entrepreneur. Isn't that a dream? Founder and CEO of Cheek, a mobile dating app that makes missed connections obsolete. She's on iTunes, apple.com. You can find her app there. And Lori, a Shark Tank veteran, was recently listed as the digital dating disruptor and one of the top 10 CEOs to watch. A University of Kentucky architectural graduate, Lori is no longer building structures. She's now building relationships. Welcome, everybody, Lori Cheek.
Okay, fingers crossed the video works. If not, I have the video queued up on YouTube as well as a backup. Here we go. Thank you, Lori. Very interesting.
Shout out to you for having multiple, having a backup though, because
This is what happens when you organize events. You have to be prepared for the eventuality of things going wrong.
yeah.
So I have it here. Here we go. To our tribe, tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
I'm Lori Cheek. I'm 48 years old and I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky. I was a New Yorker for 25 years and I just moved back home at the beginning of the pandemic. So it's funny how life comes full circle. I'm back where I grew up. But yeah, in New York City, I remember leaving a very small town and going to a city of 8 million people and finding it really impossible to make friends in a city of that many people, which was sort of mind-blowing because I thought it would just be super easy. And even in the world of dating, it was really difficult to find a date. But throughout all those years, I just remember there were so many missed connections. So like you see someone in a subway and then you get out, you may never see them again. You know, someone that might catch your eye or you find attraction to. And then one night, 16 years into my career of architecture and design, I was out to dinner with a colleague and he scribbled on the back of his business card, "Want to have dinner?" And he slipped that to an attractive woman as we were leaving the restaurant. So he left with a date and I left with this idea that I couldn't stop thinking about. And, you know, throughout that 16 years in my corporate career, I came up with so many ideas, so many inventions, but none that I couldn't stop thinking about the way that I couldn't stop thinking about this idea. I actually have the product right here on my table. But basically, based on that card handing that my friend did that night, I wanted to take the business out of the business card and already have sort of a fun saying on the card. So I invented this deck of cards called Cheeked. And there were 50 cards in a deck and you could slip it to that intriguing stranger on the subway and it says you've been cheeked. And on the other side, it said one of 50 different things. Like this one says emotionally available. Some of them said, well, first time for everything. There's one that says, I think you dropped this. I couldn't find a napkin. So this sort of replaces the lipstick and the toner from the napkin. Anyway, I just thought it was a nice, non-intrusive, intriguing gesture to slip these cards to people. And they had a code on them. Each one was numbered like a checkbook. So if I handed you this card at a coffee shop, you would go onto our website and type in that code and you could find my online dating profile on our website.
Gosh.
So it was like a reverse engineered online dating site. And it took me 2 years to build that. I walked around in circles with this idea for a year and finally found a couple of people that helped startups start up and they became my business partners. And a year later, we launched our business. Our graphic designer was actually based out of Dunedin, New Zealand. So not far from
serious.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? The dating world certainly is challenging. And it looks to me like you gave people a very simple way of making that connection. It used to be you would go to a pub or a bar and your eyes clash across the room and conversations start. But now with technology, people are so distracted. It's not that easy to connect anymore.
Yeah, I did a TEDx talk on this very subject because, you know, I started this dating card business when Match.com was a thing. Like this was before dating apps had really taken off yet. So I've watched all of the world of dating evolve over the past decade. And I think it's become more and more difficult to make connections in the real world because everyone's staring down at their phones. Yes. And going into a bar in New York City, I remember walking up to numerous singles that would be sitting right next to me, flipping on Tinder while
you're right there.
Yeah, to be sitting right next to them or right behind them. Like if people just looked up, they might find the love of their life. So anyway, I've just been inspired by this concept from the very beginning. And what I really loved about this is it was sort of taking online dating back to the real world. So you saw the person in person, You handed them an invitation to take it back online, and it was a safe, privacy protected way to tell someone that you like them or you want to see them. So, but since then we've altered the idea. I was on the show, the ABC Shark Tank here in America. I think you guys have the Dragon's Den there, and they didn't love this idea, and I think they didn't love it because they're millionaire investors that are married. They're older. They have no idea what it is to be single in a compact city that's impossible to meet people. And I don't think they loved the idea that I didn't make a lot of money in the time that I had launched the business. So we changed the app into a Bluetooth dating app. So we got rid of the cards, which I still love this card concept and would love to bring it back one day. But we have a Bluetooth dating app that connects people within a 30-foot radius. So if you were to walk into a crowded bar or a nightclub, it would tell you all the other singles that are there. So instead of handing a card, it's like a real-time right here dating app that you can either send someone a note, or you could walk over and be like, hi, because you know they're single and available and want to meet someone too.
Oh, how intriguing. So the platform really evolved in a very, very magical way.
It did. And yeah, COVID hasn't made much sense for our app, because in a time of distancing.
Yes. Now you kind of need to think of something else. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is you will come up with. So tell me, if we had an entrepreneur who's online right now, who has a crazy, wacky idea, is scared, is frightened, has no idea where to start, based on what life has taught you, your business career has taught you, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give that younger person? This could be the younger you when you were starting off. What would you have wanted to have known?
You know, like I said, I've come up with tons of inventions over almost 20 years. And, you know, I ran this idea about these cards by hundreds and hundreds of people. And I remember a lot of people saying, you shouldn't be sharing your idea with everyone. But on the other hand, I think by sharing it, I got enough feedback of people that would email me 3 weeks later and said, I just saw the love of my life on the subway. I need your product. And it happened to me too. I passed all sorts of intriguing strangers, and I wish I had my own product. Like, I personally needed it, wanted it, and I didn't care if the rest of the world wanted it. I still wanted to build it for me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I think it is positive to go around and, you know, sort of use your network as a focus group to see if it makes sense to build it. And if you just believe in yourself and give up self-doubt, I think it could be the ride of a lifetime. You know, I've been through tons of struggles over the past 13 years since I came up with this idea, but I wouldn't change anything, because this has been, I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's not a job anymore. I'm my own boss. It's entrepreneurship, I say, is a blessing and a curse, because now that I'm an entrepreneur, there's no way I can go back and work for someone else. So I don't know. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, they actually say when you do go into the entrepreneurial world, they say that if a man pays you a salary, they're telling you how much you're worth and you're accepting it. But when you delve into this world, you're literally writing your own check. And like you said, you're not working. It's fun. It's like a game, right?
Exactly.
And that's the most beautiful thing about going down the entrepreneurial journey. So the so-called failures, things gone wrong that you have experienced, how have you overcome them? How would you recommend somebody deals with challenges when they do show up?
Well, I think entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not for the weak of heart. You've got to have serious resilience and grit and determination, ambition. Yeah, it's not an easy ride. And I think it's way more difficult than you could ever imagine, but it's so much more worth it when you get to the end. But I've been through so many failures through this that we wouldn't even have enough time to talk about this. But I think it's important to make mistakes. You learn from your mistakes, you get smarter, but I say don't stew on them, make them quickly, learn from them, and move on. And you've got to be a big problem solver through all of this. So one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was we got covered in the New York Times soon after I launched my business on the cover of the style section. And it said, move over Match.com. This is the next generation of online dating. We got the most orders for these cards that I've ever gotten since I went on the Shark Tank. But our web developer, who was in England at the time, so we'd scattered out using all these vendors all over the world, just trying to penny pinch because we're a lean startup at this point. Yes. And our financial thing was based on a recurring subscription model. So when everybody paid us with the credit card, 1 month later, their cards were going to get hit again with a $9.95 subscription fee. Anyway, that developer in England had that button ticked off that didn't save anyone's credit card. So we lost every single customer. It was the biggest financial mistake I made through my business. I mean, based on our average lifetime user, we added up our customers, and that was probably a $30,000 mistake.
Oh my gosh. And such a small thing just completely missed.
Well, yeah, and the lesson I learned was to test your technology, test it again, test it again. I mean, I could say this like 100 times over. And, you know, I think another mistake that I made was not having a technical person on my team. So I really needed a tech co-founder. I don't have that skill set, and I think it's important to fill in the blanks of what you're not able to bring to the table in your journey.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people are looking for ways of creating apps and monetizing them. Let's talk a little bit about the different models and the different ways that one can monetize on building two databases and bringing them together. What can you share in that space?
Even in our current dating app that's not really working right now for many reasons, it was a free app. And you know, starting out, you can't really charge when you've got Tinder and Bumble and all these multi-million-dollar backed companies. You just can't charge to compete against these other massive, like they're just the big guys in the business. So you just got to start out and hustle your tail off to get enough users that it makes sense to either have advertising or come up with creative ways to have premium memberships, which both Tinder and Bumble are managing to do that right now. So I think that's, for dating apps, I think that's the main way to monetize.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So if we were to step into your future, you are a woman with many, many, many talents, many ideas. Where are you going now? What is the horizon?
So I'm new in town. I mean, I've been here for a year, but it's been really difficult to find networking opportunities. But you know, I do a lot of speaking gigs. I just hope to inspire other female entrepreneurs that are considering taking the leap into entrepreneurship. I would love to mentor some startups here in the Louisville, Kentucky area. I think it's a sort of a new tech scene, and I'd love to bring that, what my history and background of the New York City tech scene to here and entrepreneurs in Louisville, Kentucky. And I do have another idea for an app that is inspired by my own making connections here in the middle of distance time. Yeah. So it's another idea that I really can't stop thinking about. So the last time I had one of these ideas, I brought it to life. And yeah, I just need to find a developer to code this app for me.
They say that the Chinese write the word crisis with two symbols. One stands for danger, the other stands for opportunity. And I really think at this point in time, humanity is craving connection like no other time in the history of mankind. And I really think whatever it is you're working on, if it's going to be connecting people, it is going to go far. It's just amazing what is coming.
You just gave me chills by even saying this.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying when we finished the interview, don't go away, because when I read your profile, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I've met someone. I want to pick your brain. But I just want to thank everybody who's come online. You know, a lot of us have got ideas, but we are fearful. And everything you want is on the other side of fear. You just have to break that fear barrier. Give it a try. Look, it's better to have tried and failed than to go to your grave with regrets. Am I right, Lori?
Oh my God. It's like my motto.
I love it. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. I told you we have some amazing women stepping forward and sharing their stories. I believe we change the world through our stories. One woman at a time, one story at a time. So if you are that entrepreneur and you have an idea and you're feeling scared, just do it. You have nothing to lose but regret. And thank you again, Lori, for showing up and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Bye for now, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Yet another fascinating lady.
Yeah, I agree.
So Lori launched this app just before COVID. She had managed to get herself on Shark Tank, had all of this amazing publicity because of it. Then things went wrong. Her tech guy forgot to tick a box. They lost thousands of potential clients. And she also is stuck in a pandemic, and her app was really designed for people to meet in person, send somebody a card, then hook up on the app. But a lot of life lessons that she taught us with this presentation. What was your biggest take home, Kay?
I think it was the portion about, making those mistakes. Because, and then when she talked about when you are an entrepreneur, you have to have extreme resilience, extreme ambition, and you really do have to get past that fear. So really honing in on the mistakes, like you're going to make them, but it's okay because it teaches you. And if you are resilient enough to say, okay, I messed up here or there, or I needed this person on my support team, I think that's really great. You're going to enter. I'm even in a learning curve when it comes to entrepreneurship. And if you can embrace that, I think that's what I'm taking away from her. But I really love those cards. I want some. They're not out right now. But even when you're relocating, as I am as well, about to, and getting out there and making friends or making those connections, it really can be tough for people. So I'm really grateful that she shared the mistakes. And I like the point she made about being on Shark Tank, how maybe they didn't understand because they're married and they're in these long relationships. They don't understand what it is to be a single person right now.
Yes.
And then being aware of those times, like she said, she launched it right before the pandemic, and then boom, something totally uncontrollable happened. So being aware of what the culture is doing, being aware of what the local community is doing, I think that will help us. But some things are just uncontrollable, and you have to be ready to adapt and be flexible. So I really enjoyed her talk.
And I've just got her website running at the bottom of the screen, cheeks.com. So if anybody's wanting to get cheeked, go onto Lori's website. So our next presenter is Kiva. And I think you have Kiva's resume. I'll let you read that out, and then I will cue her video.
Awesome. And I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Kiva Dag. Kiva Dag says that she is here to share with you the wisdom of the elements. They were here long before we were, and they will be here long after we are gone. We can use them to integrate even the most challenging of life experiences. You have everything you need within to turn your past experiences into wisdom in the present moment. As a guide for this journey, she shares how the elements fire, air, earth, and water can be used as tools for transformation. Choosing a healing path that is empowering sets you up to thrive beyond your wildest dreams in the next chapter of your life. You deserve to live free from the past and excited about the future. She says, connect for a call today to discover how the elements can support you in embodying the highest version of yourself. Let's welcome Kiva Dag.
Thank you so much for having me on here. Beautiful to connect on the other side of the world. My name is Kiva Dag, and I'm in Costa Rica at the moment. Came here 6 weeks ago and enjoying the tropical island. And yeah, I'm 23, and my story, I feel like that's a very large word. But I suppose my story has been to find truths in life. I've been searching for the truths of natural medicine all over the world for the past couple of years, and it has brought me to wonderful places. I've been to Bali, I learned about water there, and I've been to South Africa where I learned about birthing. I became a doula, and I hop into Ireland, where I'm from, every now and again to say hello. And now I find myself here, and I started my own business 6 months ago to encapsulate all of that learning in natural medicine. And that is Elemental Empress Medicine, where I share healing through fire, air, earth, and water. And that's where I am now. And my other project is around community living, because I've also been informally learning that along my journey. And I hope to manifest that project soon as well.
Wonderful. Now, you work with the elements, just when we were catching up a little bit earlier, you told me that you like to work with the elements in the world. Tell me a little bit about that and what that means.
Yeah, so I've seen really interesting models of the elements, and it's interesting. I think at the moment, more people are feeling called to work with them or use them in different ways. So personally, I just created this model for my own intuition. And I work with fire, air, earth, and water. And I work with ether as a spirit, but I don't bring it into the model. And there's a reason for that is the people that have been brought to me or I feel drawn to tend to be a little bit disconnected from the body. And fire, air, earth, and water, if we look at the chakra system, is the root chakra, the sacral, the solar plexus, and the heart. And that's really where my work focuses, is bringing people out of the headspace, the air, which I think there is a lot of energy around communications, technology, thoughts, and bringing them back down into the wisdom that is within those elements, that is within the body. And I connect them with the body and also with the world around them. Because that's really what I feel people are calling for or yearning for, is more wisdom, which is held within these elements. They've been here the whole time on this earth, rather than more information or you should do this or you should do that. So that's why I was drawn to using them.
Wow. So that's really fascinating. And now you are working a lot online, of course, because of COVID. What are you finding to be the most interesting thing where you are, your physical location right now?
Yeah, I really enjoy flowing with my intuition in all senses. And I love where I am right now because it's very fast paced and I meet so many unique people and the synchronicities fly so fast. Mm-hmm. So it's similar to Bali, Indonesia, where I spent a bit of time. I feel like it maybe captures more of an older population, or older people come here to establish community living and things like that. So that's I think what I enjoy the most about it, is synchronicities and the weather, the heat.
Now you talk about community living. It's a concept that for most of us from Africa, we understand really well because it's just a way of being. That's the way life is. But for most people in other parts of the world, it doesn't really make sense. I've been living in this street for the last 21 years. And until COVID happened, I had no sense of community. I know my neighbors on either side of my house, but the rest of the street, I didn't know anyone at all. And in Zimbabwe, I grew up in a street where I knew every single person in every single household, 50 families, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, aunts. We knew each other. And now when COVID happened, I remember one of my neighbors
bit further down, came and dropped a letter in everybody's letterbox. He said, "Hi, my name is John. My wife is Mary. We just wanted to connect everybody in the streets in case you need help. You might need somebody to go and pick up your groceries." And they started a Facebook group. So the whole community is connected on Facebook. And this is actually the first time in 21 years I felt like I was part of this community, if that makes any sense. So for you and your work and trying to create these communities, tell us a little bit about what that entails and why.
I love that. Yeah, that difference is so huge, and it is something we are taught or we're not taught at a young age, and then we start to mimic that as we grow older when we start to create our own families and everything like that. I love that. That is a huge positive that's come out of this time. It gives me such hope, and that's why I think that people will be more open to these projects coming through and trying something different. So when I went back to Ireland this time, people were trying to create them, but there can be issues, with government things and land ownership and things like that. But yeah, basically the kinds of questions that I held as I traveled really helped me understand what people would need to come into community living. So there's a major question for if you have not lived in a community for your whole life and then you try and enter one, it can be really hard to figure out the communication and how everyone gets along. So a lot of them start, people buy a group of houses together and they try and grow food together, but they don't last.
Yeah.
So within my idea is essentially like if people are coming from this way of life in cities and there's a lot of toxicity of thoughts and foods and etc., they're one type of water, so imagine they're kind of water that's filled with all these things that it doesn't need. So my idea is to create like a pre-filter and a filter system as they enter the community so that all of those things are brought out from the other ways of living and projections and teaching breathing, teaching communication. So once they come into the community, then there is a sense of understanding of what community living is, and how to support each other and bring nourishing energy into the space. And so it's specifically for people that have not had the experience and wish to live in a community long term.
Oh, wow. So that's been an interesting experience where you are in Costa Rica as well, correct?
Yeah, so people are starting some projects here, and it's quite accessible for land ownership and things like that. There are some blockages in a sense where there's inequality because expats are coming in and there's, they have more money and it's changing the dynamics of things. So there is some challenges, but there are people starting to do it. So that is a great sign.
That's excellent. Wow. Okay. So if you were to go back to the younger you, the young woman who started off on her travels, exploring and seeing the world, if you were to give her some words of advice about life, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you impart?
Oh, I love this question. That's great. Yeah, okay. So yeah, when I left without having a home space, again, I'll give myself advice at that point. And I would say the first thing would definitely be you have everything you need within you. I spent a lot of time trying to find it in other people, and that definitely took me down a lot of side roads that I probably could have avoided. Yeah, you have everything you need within you. Trust your intuition. I have a very strong intuition, but I feel as a woman, it was overridden by be kind, be nice to people, give them the benefit of the doubt. And with the way that I see people, I see their light and I get so infatuated. I'm like, oh, you can do this and you have this potential. And sometimes it's best to just listen to the intuition and not get involved all the time. So yeah, you have everything within, listen to the intuition. And the last one would be just to have fun. Yeah. To have fun, and once I'm having fun, everything aligns so beautifully. It happens so perfectly, and essentially, having fun means I'm trusting. Yeah, so have fun.
I love that. I love it. Now you've referred to the word intuition a few times. Some people know it, use it, have it. Other people are struggling to find how to tune into it. And I've always described intuition like a muscle. where once you feel it and you trust it, you use it, and the more you use it, the stronger it gets, the more you use it. How would you describe intuition? If you were to help somebody who's struggling to tap into their intuition, what advice would you give?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one way that I like to use that is easily accessible in the beginning, and that most people experience is like through bodily discomforts. So I would say using bodily sensations as a gateway to intuition is a really great practice, because we are always having the bodily sensations. And so I teach people how to tap into their pain or discomfort and receive answers from that pain or discomfort by meditation and writing and asking themselves those questions. And this is when they start to build a relationship with the intuition, because they're starting to see that the body is on their side rather than the body is a hindrance or a block to their, day. And this is where the intuition lies. And that's how I use the elements as well. It's like, how can we listen to the body and listen to the world? Like, think about fire, think about passion, tune into that energy, listen to it, and then move forward. And manifesting that internal guidance system. So intuition to me is sensations, I would say. It has a physical manifestation, and that's sometimes easier to find.
Yes. Yeah, but it's something you tune into. And sometimes it's just a gut feeling you have that you're supposed to go left and not right. And
yeah, but listen, your word saying like gut feeling.
Yeah.
It's a bodily sensation in a sense,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So now let me take you into your future. I believe that time is an illusion. Time doesn't exist, that your past, your present, your future exist in the same timeline. And you can teleport into your future and find out how you did things, how you're supposed to do things, and your future self can guide you. If you were to have a conversation with the future you at the age of 100, sitting in a rocking chair, maybe you're back in Ireland, maybe you're back in Costa Rica, or wherever you're going to find yourself, based on how you are living your life, what would you say to her?
So I'm speaking to my 100-year-old self.
Yes.
Okay. I would probably ask her, at the moment, like my question in this moment was like, how did you overcome fear? I think is what I would ask her, because I feel that version of myself would have figured that out by then, because she'd be the crone. She's less of a cyclical human. She's, she's wise. I feel like she would have a good perspective on not abolishing fear, but living with it and transmuting the energy into something else. I would ask her that.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to actually tell her right now. I think I love creating so many stories in my life. I feel like I've lived a couple of lifetimes in the stories that I have now. And I do often think of myself in that rocking chair, and I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to have so many stories to tell.
Yeah, you're like me. I always say to my kids, when I am old and done, I'm sitting in that rocking chair, the stories I'll be telling my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, of their crazy little African grandmother who came from Africa with a suitcase, $500, 3 kids, moved to New Zealand, lived in America, lived in South Africa. We will have quite a few stories to tell.
Yeah. I want that young woman to come and to be like, oh my God, this is happening. And I'm like, yeah, that happened to me 3 times. Like, come on, let's talk about it. I think that'll be great.
Oh, I love it. No, thank you so much for this interview. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, connecting with you, and learning from you today. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in this morning. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another fascinating guest for a different part of the world. But Kiva, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you this morning. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Another amazing young woman.
Yeah.
It's interesting the collection of stories we've had so far. Women from all over the world, different subjects. We've gone from business to dating to intuition. It's such a wide range of knowledge that these women are bringing to the table. So, the one thing that I love to help people with is how to tune into your intuition. A lot of people know how to do it, but majority of people struggle in learning to access that part of ourselves. And the way I describe it is that your intuition is like a muscle, and the more you use it, the stronger it gets, and the stronger it gets, the more you use it. So for me, that gut feel is energetic. Like I meet people and I get excited about them. There's just something about their energy and my energy. And that person could tell me to jump off a cliff, and I would jump off without a parachute. It's just this knowing, this trust that comes with the feeling.
Yeah.
Hey, what is your take on intuition?
Oh my goodness. You know what? My take on intuition, that gut feeling, that urge you feel when maybe you've been thinking about something for so long and it just keeps coming back up. That's another way to kind of tell it. That's something in the inside of you whispering some things to you, or that feeling you get when something is not right. You can't put your finger on it. You might not know exactly what it is, but there's something in you that's whispering or maybe yelling that you don't need to be here. And I think a lot of the times, as she talked about, like, writing and journaling and meditating, like if we don't silence the world around us, then we won't be able to hear the world inside of us, especially as women, because we carry womb, we carry life, we are carriers of glory or carriers of so much. And so when we allow certain things to penetrate our womb or our minds, we carry that with us, and that sometimes quiets us. Maybe some of the things that we've struggled with or challenged through, or some of those difficulties, we can start to lack trust in ourselves. And so for me, writing my book, I had this feeling 4 years ago that I just thought I'm going to write a book, but it wasn't until 4 years this year that I wrote the book, and I didn't know exactly what it would be about, but I let the inner me guide me on what I needed to say. And I think the more that we do get to interact with our intuition and we just move with that, the possibilities are endless for us, for success, for health, for love, for whatever we desire. And a lot of the times I think our desires is wrapped up in our intuition, or even to stay safe, or to I guess avoid danger in some ways that can help us a lot. So I'm definitely getting more in tune with my intuition, and I'm trusting myself more, but that's because I'm building a better relationship with myself. That's why I wrote the book, because as young women, we can say that anybody can go through a crisis. And I think when she said that she was 23, I was like, oh, great. I'll be 25 in less than 5 days. And it's like there's somebody else who's young who gets it as well, because there's so much to distract us from listening to ourselves. But, we want to make a life for ourselves. We want to do all these things, but our intuition can really guide us to true alignment. That's how I was able to land certain jobs. That's why I was able to start my company. That's why I was able to write my book. That's why I was able to sit down and have real conversations with women that I care about. So the intuition is really, really strong. And I think our society, our culture, our world, sometimes in an indirect way may influence us not to trust ourselves and to trust other people. So we can take all of this information from so many people, but at the end of the day, you are a universe within yourself, and you have to pay attention to your own world, what's going on around you, with the people around you, and learning to tune into that. And it's okay to get it wrong when you're listening to your intuition or following your intuition. It's okay to get it wrong, because I've gotten it wrong. But I've gotten it more wrong more times when I didn't listen to her. And that
Yes.
I just love both of you because you're like, I've traveled and I love to travel, but I've only went out of the country once. And I'm just getting more tapped in with that because it's so much to learn. And I think it's okay to be wrong too. Like your worldview as you're traveling might come crashing down on you. But it's okay because you are able to hit this learning curve that allows you to see stuff in a totally different perspective. And that you know that your learning is not complete, just like it won't ever be complete. You won't ever be complete.
It's never done. So tell us a little bit about what your book is about. And do pull it out and show it to us. Give us the title.
All right. So this is my book, Beginner's Vibe Guide. And I titled it this because you can see me as a beginner in life, in business, in dreaming, in my vision. But I really dive into what I believe three parts of this book. They're called, number one, creating yourself. Number two, finding yourself. And then number three, the rules of engagement. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but so I go through the first part, creating yourself, and I talk about things, and I call my book, I don't call them chapters, they're vibes. Because when you think about vibrations in your inner you, we know that we operate on frequencies that we can't see.
Yes.
Like we talked about that energy of a person. You can feel energy.
Yeah.
That's why games like, NBA games and football games, there's so much energy and that team is like feeding off the energy that the audience is bringing to them. And so when I talk about vibes, I'm guiding you through these different vibes that I've experienced myself, that I've shared with other people. And so in the first part, creating yourself, I talk about vision, self-love, self-acceptance, self-compassion, and you being the light. And then part two, finding yourself, I talk about self-exploration, self-discovery, self-worth, self-confidence, and then you being the leader. And then that last part, rules of engagement, this is like the part of, all right, we're interacting with the world now. We know who we are. We've worked on our self-compassion. We've taken the action steps in the book. I love myself a little bit more now. I know I'm a leader in some capacity, whether I'm a mother or an entrepreneur. And I talk about engaging. And so I say vibe 11 through 15 is make your bed, connect the dots, no compromise, don't turn down the volume. And then number 15 is knowing you are the vibe. And so I take people in this book through action steps. There's an action step for every vibe. And then you're signing a contract with yourself for your purpose in the book. And I even have like a list of things that you should do, like get a new haircut, leave the job, go travel, go invest in the course, like all of these different things that really push you to launch your passion or to launch your business or to launch your vision or just to know that you are whole. That's literally what I've done with my book. And I really enjoy it because I'm very practical. I think when it comes to religion in the Southern belt, there's a lot of like this mystical person or entity that's like guiding you, and that's cool, but we have to look back within ourselves and become very practical because we're living in a world that you have to pay rent, you have to do these things to live.
Yes.
So I really like to be more practical and give people practices with this because intangible things, you can make them tangible with you. But when you're like serving this mysterious entity or you're worshiping this mysterious entity, it kind of disconnects you from what's really the power that's out of you. So with this book, I call it the Millennial Success Map, and I talk about working in my purpose before 30s, and I define what being the vibe is and all of that good stuff. But it's a really cool journey. Yeah.
Fantastic. And where can people get the book, Kay?
People can get the book at my website. Here you see Inspired Bosses. So you're going to spell it just like you see on the screen, inspiredbosses.com. Or you can go to Amazon. Everything is on Amazon. You can go to Amazon and type in Beginner's Vibe Guide, and you'll see the book and you can purchase it there.
Fantastic. Okay, with that, we'll move on to our next speaker. Miss Jennifer, I sent you the bio. Did you see it?
I do.
Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
line up the video while you read out her bio.
Okay, this is a pretty good bio, you guys. And let's introduce Jennifer Polari, or Polari. I want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. But Jennifer Polari can recall the first time someone handed her a bottle of cold snap. She was managing a restaurant in Boulder, Colorado in 2001 and starting to feel the early signs of a cold. She told a coworker who gave her almost empty bottle of cold snap. She said, take 2 capsules every 20 minutes until the rest of the bottle is gone. You'll feel fine tomorrow. She was right. I did. She was highly impressed. Jennifer was highly impressed at the effectiveness. Over the next few years, Jennifer went on to get her master's degree in Oriental Medicine at Southwest Acupuncture College in Boulder. Upon graduating, she sought out a job with the company she had always thought of as the Cold Snap Company. The stars aligned and she got the job. She fell in love with the company and the other formulas. She realized the business was much more than the Cold Snap Company. She doesn't think that she worked there more than a few months when the idea or hope of eventually owning the business cropped up. She felt honored that it worked out, and she can't wait to see what the future brings for her OHCO. Jennifer has a bachelor's degree in philosophy from Boston College in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and a master's degree in Oriental Medicine from Southwest Acupuncture College in Boulder, Colorado. She lives with her 3 children in Lafayette, Colorado, where she enjoys all of the active outdoor activities she can handle and fosters puppies rescued from high-skilled shelters. Again, Jennifer Polari.
My name is Jennifer Polari. I am 43, and I'm based in Colorado in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of the US. My story is rather complicated, so I am going to try to keep it tight for you. Basically, a year ago, I found myself thrust into a medical mystery, and I was the medical mystery. I was starting to have one inflammatory symptom after another, and it left me bedridden. I couldn't walk. One of my knees was 4 times the size of the other. I was having seizures and all kinds of neurological symptoms. And at the same exact time, I found myself as a single mother of 3, home with my 3 children who needed to be homeschooled by someone, apparently. Wasn't really going to be me. And the business that I run, which is an herbal supplement company, got really, really busy because we have an immune support product. And so last March through May were the biggest 3 months in company history. So at the same time that my health is declining, my children need me, they're declining, have very little access to friends and family. And it was just like the perfect storm of obstacles. And so I kind of trusted my intuition. And one of the things my gut told me when I realized what was going on with my health, which is actual chronic Lyme disease, which I've had since I was a small child, and it was never diagnosed. It was always misdiagnosed or undiagnosed, but it was triggered by mold. I had just bought a house, and it had been used as a marijuana grow house, and the HVAC was full of mold. So breathing in the mold is what triggered all of my symptoms. But I had this thought, and it was, you will learn more than you will lose from this. And I have held that thought, and I have really overcome this disease. My doctor thinks of me as a miracle patient. I don't really think of myself in that way, but I have gotten like 90% better, which is unheard of for this disease in this short period of time. And so with that experience and that drive to get better, I have obviously done a lot of learning.
Wow. Your story is amazing. It sounds to me like everything that can go wrong went wrong. And at the same time, business-wise, it was a thriving time for your business. Now, you have been in this field for a while. You have been specializing in these alternative herbal remedies for people. What got you into that in the first place?
Well, interestingly, I was a very sickly child, which now makes sense. I was always my parents' kid who had this issue and that issue. I remember I had mono at the end of high school. I had had alopecia. I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. I had severe menstrual cramps. It was diagnosed as endometriosis. Now I know that was actually Lyme disease, but like it's a very strange disease. It'll just show up in autoimmune type ways. So I was always kind of dismissed as like a fairly unhealthy person, just like poor Jen. She got the like crappy gene lottery or something. And I viewed myself that way too. So when I finished undergrad, I decided to get into a health profession just so I could learn more. And acupuncture, I had it a few times and I was just amazed. And I learned that it was like a 4-year master's program and decided, okay, this is what I want to be involved with. So that started my journey. And while I was a student in acupuncture school, I actually was taking a formula, this formula, Cold Snap, that is made by the company that I now own. So I was giving this formula, which is all Chinese herbs, as Christmas gifts to people with no idea that one day I would own the company that makes it. So that started my journey, and I had been remarkably healthy since then until this last year.
Wow. Wow. Now, COVID-19 has presented any entrepreneur with either an opportunity or danger. And you have been doing all of this single-handedly, single mom, 3 little kids. How do you do it? How do you wake up every morning? How do you bounce back?
Sometimes I really don't know. I have like a really strong sense of intuition about things working out and that things are part of a greater good, that it doesn't just have to do with me. So I've kind of used this issue with my health to raise awareness about this disease, because in my home area, there are so many people who have this disease, and most of them have no clue. They're all diagnosed with MS or rheumatoid arthritis or like a bunch of autoimmune diseases. And so I have just use this as an opportunity to really explore other types of healing modalities too. And it's brought me to some places where a year and a half ago, I thought I knew everything there was to know about alternative healing, and I was wrong.
Wow. So if you were to go back to the younger you, that young woman who made a decision to buy a company, go into business, what nuggets of wisdom would you give her? Let's say there's a young woman who's listening to this interview, is scared, is sitting on the fence, has no idea whether they should go forward or not. What advice would you give her?
I mean, I think that you have to trust your intuition, and also this, I know how this can sound to people, but I do think this is real, that like ultimately the universe wants what's in your best interest. Even if it doesn't, even if it looks ugly and scary and like a disaster. But I think there's always some force inside of us that's like nudging us to want to be involved with something. And we have to kind of resign to that and follow it, because sometimes I wonder if the reason why that I own my business is not to make me a business owner, but it's because of the value that knowing about this kind of world has provided to my health. And if I hadn't gone into Chinese medicine and alternative health, who knows what the last 20 years would have been like for me. I might have not ever gotten that break from this disease.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you've kind of followed your gut, you've really trusted your instincts in everything you've done. And I guess your intuition is like a muscle, right? You have to use it for it to get strong. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Mm-hmm. And you make mistakes. Awesome. I think that's the other part of it. Like, I think there are parts of me that always tend to act in a certain way, and that fails me sometimes, you know, and that is part of the process. But I have a really good friend, and she just said to me recently, I don't understand why someone like you gets thrown so many obstacles.
Yes.
And I was like, I could see why you'd say that, but that's not how I view it.
Right. So what is your take? Why do you think all these things are coming at you?
I think everything is for learning.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone has the opportunity to be a teacher for other people and help alleviate some of their suffering. You have to accept that life is suffering. There's so much. But if you can help someone on their path a little bit and give them hope, I feel like that goes a long way to help you also.
Yeah, so you are right. They say we are given the challenges so we can become teachers, that the universe will never throw anything at you can't overcome.
Mm-hmm.
But some people succumb to the challenges and they can't cope. So this has got to do with your personal attitudes, the way you frame the world, I would say.
For sure. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing.
So tell us a little bit about your upbringing. What is it? Your parents, your grandparents? Where does this way of thinking come from?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a very working class area of Connecticut, which is a state here that people don't think of as working class because there's a lot of wealth there too. Right. I grew up on like the other side of the tracks where there was not a lot of industry. Neither of my parents went to college. They had us very young. I think I was born when my mom was 21, and I have an older sister. You know, they didn't have very many opportunities, but they worked hard. My dad, I remember him working like 3 jobs when I was a kid. And my mom, she just wanted to do the best for her 3 children.
Her kids, yeah.
So I always had the modeling of working hard. I didn't have the most peaceful home life growing up. You know, there was a lot of turmoil and addiction and just a lot of things that were rough, but I had a very big extended family. And then I always just had this grit about me. And I think originally that grit was to get out. I just knew I did not want to stay there.
Yes.
And I knew that becoming educated, doing well in school were my tickets out of that area.
Yeah.
But it's always just kind of been part of me of like, okay, there are problems. Oh, you're not going to make rent this month. Oh, you have to figure out how to pay for this. You have to figure out how to get from here to there. I just did it. And that is how, even as I've gotten a lot more financially comfortable, I have never let it make me just like sit back. I'm always looking for like the next thing, or like I have a nonprofit in my head for the future, and I have all kinds of other little business endeavors. It's like my brain doesn't quit.
Actually stop. Yeah. I love that. So where do you see yourself 100 years from now? Or let's say at the age of 100, when you're sitting in your rocking chair, reflecting back on your life, what do you think that's going to look like if you could have a conversation with the older you?
You know, I hope that I slow down at some point. I mean, what happened to me last year with my health forced me to physically slow down. And I realize now that that was another sign from the universe of me not having to do it all, and I shouldn't do it all. So I hope that at some point I slow down. I don't see that happening for a while. I just have this whole experience has now made me think of all these other things that I want to do, try to reach people. But I would love to be relaxed somewhere with grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Yes.
Friends, and
just enjoying life and taking it easy for a change.
Yeah, but also happy to have left a mark, and not in like a way of like physical stuff, but having helped people on their journeys that have suffering.
That is just absolutely awesome. Beautiful way to end our interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to people right now building up their immune system, especially with this dreaded virus that's going around, just before we end?
I think that people have more control over their health than they realize. You can become empowered. You can learn, not to say that doctors don't have value, because they certainly add lots of value, but they are limited in their ability to learn. And, you know, they also are running a business that's a relationship with pharmaceutical companies and doing surgery and things that create profit. But I think that your real power comes in trying to learn about health on your own. And you can eat foods and take herbs and make lifestyle choices that really enhance your health. And for me, it was the solution that the doctors gave me is a non-solution. It's not a solution for anyone with this disease. It's just them kind of in a state of unwell. And I really had to kind of set out on my own to find my own solution and never get to the point where I was just owned by this disease.
Yeah.
I'll always have this disease. There is no cure, but I'm never going to let it
take you down. No, it doesn't sound like that will ever happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this interview, Jennifer. It's an absolute pleasure meeting you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in. The product, again, can be found on what website?
Oh, we are on Amazon, and our website is ohco.com. Internationally, we're in Alibaba.
Good. I'll definitely put all of these links with this interview.
Thank you.
Reach out, everybody. You have control of your health. It's a choice you get to make. And I think COVID has come to remind all of us of that as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jennifer. Tune in again tomorrow, everybody, when I come back with yet another amazing young woman who has a business from a different part of the world. Bye for now. Thank you again, Jennifer.
Bye.
Awesome. Wow, Jennifer.
It helps for me to put myself on camera. What an amazing story. You know, sometimes people create businesses out of adversity. And I think the secret sauce to her success is because she was doing this to help someone else. It wasn't about the money. It was about her sharing the knowledge she had found in curing herself. And those are the best businesses in the world, really, when you go in with the objective to help others than to help yourself. So thank you for sharing your knowledge with us today, Jennifer. Kay, what was your take on that, presenter?
Thank you, Jennifer. I don't have any children yet, but I just want to say to her, thank you for being strong. And she talked about just figuring it out, having to do what you just have to do. And health is a big thing for me. I like to lead I like for people to know that I'm just going to lead. I might tell them, hey, you shouldn't eat that because of X, Y, Z, and they're facts, right? But I just usually like to lead. And so I just thank her for being a leader in that way for everyone else with LHCO and her company. And just thank her for being resilient, because it really just taught me, or really shed light on, you can do it no matter what. You can do it. You can face it. And solutions come if you allow them.
And our health is truly our wealth. Unless you're healthy, you can't do anything for yourself or your family. So we have one speaker who's going to come on live, but I think she is running a little bit late. We do have another presenter that we will share with you. Kathy Hagler is our next speaker, and it's all yours.
Awesome. Kathy Hagler, PhD. So we're going to call her doctor. She is the author of Art of Scars. Kathy is the founder of K2OH Solutions, or K2O Solutions, known as an organizational healer. In the industry, Kathy partners with organizations through good times, crises, challenges, and obstacles, and moves their culture, climate, and character forward with clear vision, strategic intent, and success in an ever-changing world. Both Dr. Peter Drucker and Dr. W. Edward Demings, long considered the fathers of management, were her mentors. Kathy has a PhD from the Claremont Graduate School and the Drucker School of Business Administration. She has degrees and experience in psychology as well as data and leadership science. She is also certified in many areas, including human synergistics and culture assessment, strategic doing, and Psych-K. A practitioner of yoga, an accomplished pianist, and exercise enthusiast, Kathy enjoys reading, traveling, and hanging out in North Carolina and Idaho with her husband. Here we are, Kathy Hagler. Dr. Kathy Hagler.
My name is Kathy Jan Hagler, and I am 74 years old and growing. I am based in Hendersonville, North Carolina, in the U.S. I'll just start out my story by saying that I'm very humbled, and I'm very grateful to have had my own business for 40 years. It's a woman-owned business, and I'm very happy that I've been able to run it for 40 years. I'm a consultant, organizational consultant, and I've worked with all kinds of companies, oil companies, tech companies, museums, ballets, homeless shelters, all over the place, all nonprofit and nonprofits. And as I was running my business, it was 2:30 in the morning, about 6 days after September 11th, which was a really big day in the United States. And someone knocked at my door. 2:30 in the morning is kind of a hard time for somebody to knock at your door. So I go to the door, and it's a naval officer. And my life changed at that moment. He said, "Kathy, I'm very sorry to tell you that your son is dead. He was killed tonight in a car wreck in Norfolk, Virginia, on Navy base as they were just about to sail out. You don't know what you'll do." He was 19. And it was not that long afterwards that my husband also died. He couldn't deal with the stress. The the news of our son's death and his stress, I'm positive caused cancer. And I do believe that cancer is stress related. So when it was discovered, he had stage 4 kidney cancer. And then shortly thereafter, I developed cancer and developed a breast cancer. And a year after that, they detected cranial metastasis in my brain. And basically, I decided that I wasn't going to let that happen. And I was going to rise above that. And I was going to try to be healed. And a really, really important thing happened to me. I saw a kintsugi vase online. And a kintsugi vase is one of those beautiful Japanese vases that's been broken and put back together with golden pieces, golden joinery. And when I saw this kintsugi vase, I thought, that's how you heal. What you do is you get a vision that you're broken, but that you can be unique and you can be different. And so from that kintsugi vase, I realized that even though I was broken, and even though my heart was broken and my soul was broken, I also knew that organizations were broken because I'd seen them for 40 years. And this vase was beautiful. It was filled in what they call golden joinery. And so what I said is, if it can be broken and put back together, then I can be put back together, and I can do that. And I can help organizations and other people put themselves back together and heal.
Wow. What an amazing story, and a very interesting perspective that you took on where you were and where you wanted to go. A lot of times when we are faced with these major life changes, the trauma that we go through, and you feel like you're just completely fragmented. I went through a separation after 27 years, a divorce. I ended up with congestive heart failure. A lot of our illnesses are manifestations of the emotional trauma that we go through, correct?
Yes. Our subconscious, and this is what I try to work with people and companies about, our subconscious, which is the trauma and the fear in us, is really 95% of the way we respond to things. Our conscious mind is 5%. And unless we really allow that fear to come up, and unless we talk with people, and unless we share with people, and unless we become open and let that fear out, it will kill us. It will kill us with heart failure. It'll kill us with cancer, but it'll be something that really does something to destroy us.
Mm-hmm. So it's really important to get it out of your system, whether it means you go and work with a therapist, you talk to another family member. The holding in of that stress is what manifests in these so-called diseases, correct?
Oh, Gertrude, you couldn't say it better. I think there's really 4 things. The first thing that happens is you get a thought in yourself, like your mother passed away, or my son was killed. You get that thought, it's in your subconscious, and then it changes into this feeling of heaviness on your heart. And once it's this heaviness in your heart and in your soul, what happens is you have an opportunity right then to choose. And that choice is, you can go talk to somebody and you can say, Gertrude, I want to tell you that this is really, really hard. I want to talk to you about this and ask for some support. And once you say those words, it comes into your consciousness. And what happens is, what it allows you to do, it allows you to then verbalize it. And once you verbalize it and you bring it out of that fearful place, then what you're able to do is you're able to work it through. But you can't work it through if you leave it down in your subconscious. It'll make you sick.
So your fight with cancer and you coming out on the other side of the C word, again, is another illustration of that. A lot of times when people are given the diagnosis, the first place they go to is fear. And once that sinks in, the people who come back from cancer and survive and those who don't is, again, a matter of your mindset, correct?
Oh, it's mindset. You can get stuck there. Once they said to me, you have cancer. I mean, that's the big C.
Yes.
That's the big C.
Yeah.
And the minute they said that, I mean, it's like the fear is that tomorrow is it. I mean, because that's how we feel, you know, it's tomorrow is it, because I saw my husband go through it and it was awful. So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, that's my fears inside myself. Those are my feelings. Let me talk it out with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I always love the saying that if you don't talk it out, you act it out.
Oh, yes.
So what you do is once you feel that, I'll go talk to you. See, I can call you and I can say, oh my, I just found this out. But then you can work with me to work this through, and I can put a plan together to say, I'm not going to let this destroy my life.
Yes.
And that's what I've done.
Wow.
And that's what I teach companies.
That is just amazing. So how long ago was it when you had your cancer diagnosis? How many years ago?
2.5 years. I'm still in remission.
Wonderful.
And
that
so,
is so
I
good.
see the doctor every 3 months.
Yes.
And I go through a brain scan every 3 months. But
Okay.
I know that I'm going to be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing mindset. And I love the way that you have transferred that whole experience again into business, because it is the same thing, right? For most entrepreneurs, most business people, they get stuck.
They get stuck.
Mm.
And you know what I like to think about is there's a law of physics called the law of entropy, which says everything breaks. So if you just know right up front that everything breaks, everything breaks. But then if you think of that Kintsugi vase and that it can be healed. And what I love about it is a golden joinery. It can be healed with gold and look better than it did before.
The beauty is actually in the imperfections.
It is.
Yeah, that's what makes it so unique.
It is.
That is wonderful.
When I was a little girl, my first cancer was at 6 years old.
Oh, wow. So this is the second time.
It's the second, and I had it on my arm, and I had a big scar on my arm, and I was so embarrassed that I would wear all these sweaters, and because I was imperfect, you know.
Yeah.
And then finally somebody said to me, wow, that's like a runner. So you've got like a runner. And I said, so then I started charging people a penny to see it.
You were an entrepreneur at a very early age.
So, you know, what you do, if you're unique, it's okay to be broken.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I've always looked at is I got lots of scars. I counted the other day, I have 39 scars.
Oh, I love it.
That's okay. I'm different.
Yeah. So if you were to go back to the younger you a few years ago when we got the second diagnosis that you have cancer, and you could have a conversation with that woman and give her 3 nuggets of advice, what would you say to her?
3 nuggets of advice. Well, I call the younger me Kathy Jan. That's my middle name because that's what my daddy used to call me when I was in trouble. Kathy Jan.
Okay.
So I'd go back to Kathy Jan and I would say, don't be scared. You know, don't be afraid. You know, everything's going to change and you are going to break, but you can heal and you're going to be beautiful when you heal. So first I would tell her that. I would tell her not to be afraid. And then I would tell her to be confident. And I would also tell her that it's a good thing to be alive. It's a good thing to be alive, and it's a good thing to be a woman.
I love that.
You know, my daddy always said, you got to major in math, Kathy Jan. And I said, well, little girls don't major in math. And he said, but you do. And so I said, okay. And I did. And it's made a huge difference for me. I just realized I was a little girl, but we're good. Little girls are good. I would tell my younger self that little girls are good.
I love that. I absolutely love it. And I can feel your celebration of life and being alive. You know, sometimes we just have to wake up and focus on the things that we are grateful for. the fact that you can look outside and see, the fact that you can drink a glass of water and taste, the fact that you can breathe. You know, we have to start with the small acts of gratitude before we think about the big things when we're faced with these storms. And the other thing that you said that's really important is that the only constant in life is change. Nothing stays the same.
No. And somehow, you know, Gertrude, we're told that somehow we get in our mind that we should think that everything is going to stay the same.
Yeah.
You know, but if I could tell the little Kathy that, it would be, that's good. You know, it's good to grow, having a growth mindset, and good to grow and change. And, you know, I never thought when I was 6 years old that I would be here at 74, you know, but I'm very fortunate to be alive. I'm very fortunate to be here. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
Absolutely wonderful. So let's finish our interview with me taking you into the future for a few minutes.
Okay.
So if time was an illusion and at the rate you're going to live to 120 with science and your attitude. If you could have a conversation with the future you, that amazing woman who hits that age, and you look back at your life, based on how you're living life right now, what would you say to the older you?
Every morning when you get up, look around, be grateful for your gifts, be grateful for the love in your life, be grateful for your friends, and just be grateful and graceful. But more than anything else, I believe that what rules everything for me is be loving and kind to every living thing, because life is really beautiful, whether you're a flea or whether you're a human being. No, I believe living is beautiful, and I want to be loving and kind to everything until I'm 120.
I love that. I love that. I met a very interesting young man when I lived in New Mexico. He was
That's where I'm from.
Are you? I lived in Albuquerque.
Do you know where Clovis is?
Yes, I do.
That's where I'm from.
I lived in Nob Hill, lecturing at the University of New Mexico.
I know where that is.
It's one of my most favorite places in the world. It reminded me of Africa. It was the blue sky and that red earth and the sunsets. Oh, you're from New Mexico. What a beautiful coincidence. I have beautiful memories of New Mexico.
I was born there and lived there and spent a lot of time in Albuquerque. I love Albuquerque. There's a song that you should listen to if you can find it. It's called The Lights of Albuquerque.
The Lights of, I will look for that. That's good.
And it didn't get very popular, but when you hear it, because you know, going over that mountain at night.
Yes.
Come down into Albuquerque and you see all those lights. Remember how beautiful that is?
I have very, very fond memories of Albuquerque.
Cool.
It was a very special time in my life, and I was working on a documentary of a young man who was quadriplegic. So he was born with no arms, no legs. He could only move his wheelchair with the back of his head. He was a musician. And I said to him in one of my questions, so what keeps you going? Where do you get this positivity from? And he said to me, Gertrude, life is beautiful if you know where to look.
Mm-hmm.
It completely changed my whole perspective. You know, looking at his life, you would think he had nothing going for him. And still, despite his disability, despite all of his medical challenges, just one of the most incredible young men I have ever met.
So think of him as a kintsugi vase.
Yes.
So I took a lesson on how to make kintsugi because I wanted to know what it felt like. I found a kintsugi artist. She taught me how, so I broke the vase, I cleaned the pieces, I filled it in with gold. But what you find is this process of being broken and then coming together and joining together and then being unique. And so this young man he's saying, I'm me, I'm unique, and I'm
Yes.
beautiful.
And it's interesting because when I interviewed his mom and his dad, as he was coming down his mother's birth canal, all of his bones broke. This baby was born with fractures. So he had a certain genetic disease in his bones. He was in a cast for the first 6 months of his life. And just the most beautiful human being I've ever met, amazing musician. And now this little synchronistic connection with you coming from New Mexico. How beautiful is that?
And by the way, I'm a musician.
You are.
I'm a
I
pianist.
love this. What do you play?
The piano.
Oh my gosh.
I started teaching lessons at 12.
Okay.
In Clovis.
Wow.
Because my mother and dad said, you've just got, I'm an only child. My dad, I was very poor. My dad only went to school through the 6th grade. And he said, you've got to get out of the mud, Kathy Jan, which means you've got to keep going to school.
Yes.
So he wanted me to major in math and mother wanted me to major in piano. So I majored in both.
I love your parents. Do you want to finish off our interview and play us something?
Oh, I can't right now. My piano's not working.
No, what a pity.
But you know what? I'll send you a tape of me playing something.
Please do. Please
I will.
do. That would be awesome.
I will love that. I would love to do that.
Thank you so much, Kathy. This has been an inspiring interview. I never know what I'm going to get. And that's why I don't prepare people for my interviews. I want to be surprised with all of these beautiful stories every day. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Will you ever be coming back to Albuquerque?
I dream so. I want to come back someday and just reminisce. I was actually managing a ranch just outside of Santa Fe. I got so many beautiful opportunities while I was there. I worked with the Navajo women on the reservations. We had a project called Cultivating Coders, and we were teaching Navajo women how to code apps, make websites. I remember New Mexico with such fond memories because I was broken. It was soon after my divorce. I left New Zealand, traveled for almost 2 years, and ended up in Albuquerque. So very, very fond memories.
If you come back, you have to call me and I'll meet you in Albuquerque.
I will. I will, Kathy. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today.
Thank you very
Absolutely magical interview. Come back again tomorrow, everybody. I'll be talking to yet another amazing woman from a different part of the world, probably. But have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Wow. What an amazing woman. Yet another fascinating conversation. And it's funny that we started off our day in New Mexico and we're ending our day with somebody from New Mexico as well. Absolutely awesome. Angeline, welcome. Good to see you here with us today. We'll just give Kathy some feedback before we move on to you. We've got a few people chiming in on Facebook. And Janine is saying in French, I would like so much for your videos to be in French so that I can express myself there too. But I've got good news for you, Janine. We want people to express themselves in whatever language you're comfortable in. So if you want to share your story in French, by all means, do that. Just get it translated and we'll put subtitles with the speech. We would love you to come and be one of our speakers. So inbox me so I can give you some details. And that applies to anyone else in other parts of the world. This is not just an English-speaking platform. We want speakers from all over the world to participate. So before we go on to our next speaker, Kay, feedback for Kathy. What was your take on her presentation?
Well, before I had internet issues, I was listening to her talk about becoming a conqueror and the mindset of the C word, cancer, over cancer.
Yes.
And that hit home with me because my grandmother, she passed away from cancer. And she talked about fear and internalizing it and not sharing it. And I think for me, I'm just grateful that she to remind people who are listening and myself to always share and to speak out loud what you want, because it hits the atmosphere and you don't want to internalize that fear or whatever that feeling is that's negatively impacting you. And it really is a mindset. It really is a mindset game. So that's what I took from her.
Fantastic. Angelina, I'm not sure if you managed to watch any of Kathy's presentation.
I did watch a bit, and I liked the fact that she didn't allow what she had seen to dictate to her what she saw her husband go through, and she didn't allow that. You know, she spoke into the situation. She decided how she wanted to think, how she wanted to be, and she got what she actually expected, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah, thank you so much for that feedback. So without further ado, Kay, you're going to introduce our next speaker. We will play her video and then we'll have our last Q&A session for the day.
Awesome. Angeline, I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing this last name correctly. Nayebipu?
That's fine. It can do. It will do for now.
Okay. She'll say it right when she gets on screen, everybody. However, welcome to the Global Herstory Online Summit. Angeline Nayebipu is a Christian leader, certified qualified life and transformational coach, healthcare business owner, music recording artist, author, and a mother. She holds a BA Hon degree in theology from Newman University in Birmingham, England. She also has a diploma in biblical studies and certificate in Christian leadership from Charis Bible College, Walsall, England. Furthermore, she has a level 5 diploma in leadership for health and social care and a certificate in business skills. She is the founder of Love Flow Ministries Global, a thriving ministry, and combines her ministerial work with running White Seed Healthcare Services and Prosper My Soul coaching, mentoring, and counseling services. She has been involved with the church leadership since she was 25 and has also worked as a volunteer chaplain in the UK, in a UK hospital. Angeline's purpose is to extend compassion and see people walk in freedom for whatever keeps them bound. This purpose and passion is birthed out of her vocational calling as well as her personal journey of freedom. Angelina's testimony is of adversity, perseverance, forgiveness, and triumph. In 2013, Angeline could see a bright future for herself, but had a lot of limitations inside her that threatened the desire to walk in it. She looked for help, but could not find any assistance with the internal struggles she felt. She would often experience short periods of relief from prayer and encouragement, but the issues would soon resurface. In spite of Angeline not knowing what was wrong with her, she felt the Holy Spirit take her on a journey of healing, lasting about 2 years. In this time, he showed her how to effectively forgive, let go, and instantly renew her mind and receive emotional healing in his presence. The methods she was shown are what she uses in her coaching, mentoring, and counseling services, in addition to her NLP, timeline, and hypnotherapy techniques. After these 2 years, she began to live a life of freedom and joy. Welcome, Angeline.
Thank you, Gertrude, for giving me this opportunity to share my story with you and everybody else on the platform. My name is Angeline Nayebipu. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and right now I live in the West Midlands in England. I'm a Christian leader. I'm a qualified, certified life and transformational coach, a healthcare business owner, music recording artist, an author, a speaker, and a mother. And I have been involved in church leadership for since I was 25. And now I am 40 years old. I'm the founder of Love Flow Ministries, a global ministry. I'm the director of Whitehead Healthcare and Prosper My Soul coaching, mentoring, and counseling services. My vision in life is to pour the love of God to the nations, to make Jesus known, and to set the captives free through the love of God. I carry this vision in everything that I do, though it might have many faces, but the vision is the same, just different vehicles to, seeing this vision work. I also believe that my purpose in life is to extend compassion and see people walk in freedom from anything that keeps them bound. See, now I do this in ministry as well as in my coaching business, which I just mentioned, Prosper My Soul. And today I just want to share a little bit about prospering your soul. And this is my story about my soul being prospered and how the prosperity of my soul helped me begin to live life and the life that Christ actually gave me, the original intended purpose for my existence, you see. And I want us to know that we are responsible for our soul. That means our emotions, our spirit, our mindset. We are responsible for that. So this is my story. I was in Form 3. I went to a mission boarding school in Zimbabwe. And it was our turn to clean the toilets, like our dormitory. We used to share a dorm, and so would have turns to do the chores. So it was our turn to clean the toilets. And I remember cleaning the toilets, and my matron just came with another girl from our dorm. And she just asked me to put my hand out, and she started hitting me. So I'm not sure what made her very angry. Maybe it was because I didn't flinch, or maybe she thought I was challenging her. But to me, I just developed a mechanism to cope with pain, whereby I would just like put my hand out, let her whip me, and then cry later. I wasn't like, putting my hand out and then, whoo. No, I was just like, and then I'll let her finish, and then later on, I'll deal with the pain. But I don't know what happened. And I felt like she felt like I was challenging her. And what happened was like, I didn't even have a chance to ask what I had done. So there, I felt like I was just being hit for nothing. And I thought she was going to tell me after she had finished hitting me. She didn't. And she just said, oh, let's go to the headmaster's office. We went to the headmaster's office. And I thought, oh, well, maybe when we get into the headmaster's office, I'll know what's really happening here. Bear in mind, the walk from the girls' dormitories to the office was a very long walk. And the matron is holding a stick. And people are just looking at me thinking I've done a very big thing. You see, I didn't even know what I had done, you see, but I was just following and people were just looking at me, the boys, people jeering, things like that. And I went to the headmaster's office and I was told to stand outside. So whatever the matron discussed with the headmaster, I didn't get a chance to hear it. I didn't know. As if that shame, that embarrassment, that walk of shame wasn't enough, I was asked to go to collect my parents. And bear in mind, it was supposed to be a 2-hour journey on the bus. Nobody told me what I had done wrong. I went home, and on the bus, I was thinking, oh, well, since they didn't understand me at school, or at least I'm going home where my parents are. They're going to understand. They're going to give me some love. They're going to hug me. I'm going to be comforted. But remember, I didn't know what I had done. So I went home. When I got home, I told my parents, the headmaster said I should come and pick you. I should come and get you to come to school. Apparently, I've done something wrong. When my dad asked me, what did you do? I said, I don't know. Maybe when you come, you'll be told because I'm not sure. And I just narrated the events that I remembered. So we went to school and I thought, oh, well, this time maybe I'll get a chance to get into the office. I'll know what I have done. You know what? I went in there. I was told to stand outside. I didn't hear what happened. And then my parents came out, they were very furious. They were not happy. And I'm like, what happened? They never told me anything. They just took out my things, they put them on the floor, and in the car they went and they left. And so I was left without knowing what I had done. I had to pick up my things, I had to walk to the dorm, to the, dormitories. And I was just like numb now. Like, what have I done? No one is taking time to tell me what I've done. No one is taking time to even hear my story. Okay. I came with, we used to call it tag food, and I put it in my locker, and I put some money under my pillow. I was so confused at that time. But when I came back from class, I saw this big bully over my food. She was eating it. I checked under my pillow, the money had gone. And you know what? Because I was the confusion, the pain, I just couldn't ask anyone. I couldn't be bothered. I just wanted peace. The next day, I thought all this was over. The next day, the headmaster gives me a punishment. I still don't know what I have done. This is now a week, I think, into the next week now. And the punishment was to cut the grass, something I'd never done in my life, to dig a hole that is my height. I'm 6 foot tall. I have never done that type of work before. And I remember cutting the grass, and I was told to go and cut the grass near the boys' dormitories. So I had a boyfriend in school as well. So you can imagine the embarrassment, the shame. And the only people who asked me what I had done or who cared to even hear from my side or to talk to me were a few boys who passed through where I was doing this punishment. You see, that was after, in 1.5 weeks, those are the first people who had cared to ask me, "Oh, what have you done to deserve such punishment?" And I said to them, "I don't know," you see, because I didn't know. Because nobody had told me. Even now, I don't know. No one told me anything, you see. So, after that, I just went numb. I just, didn't know how to deal with this. Nobody ever in my life asked me about that incident again. Nobody ever spoke to me about that incident. Mind you, at this time now, I'm in Form 3. I'm in a dormitory with girls who I thought were my friends, girls who I thought I could trust, girls who I thought I could depend on. Now I'm having to watch my back all the time. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who sold me out. I don't know what they said. So, I had to begin to learn some coping mechanisms. From there, I remember that I started to learn how to show as if I'm happy when I'm not. You see, I started to learn to be in a place but not present. I started to learn how to cover and protect my heart because no one was going to do that for me. You see, this story is a very long story, but I'm cutting it short because of our time and just to give you a background of why I like to talk about prospering my soul. This is my story, you see. And this story, you can find it in one of my books, which I have written with some ladies. And so I learned to do some things, to survive, to protect myself. At this time, I felt like there was no one for me. The matron was supposed to look after me, was punishing me for something I didn't know. The headmaster who was supposed to, protect me, supposed to be my guardian at school, he was punishing me for something I didn't do. My parents who were supposed to love me no matter what and to understand me, they didn't tell me, they didn't ask me. Nobody knew. And I was just about 15 years old. You see, the only people who cared about what was happening were the people who asked me, "What did you do?" Were the boys who were passing through the dormitory. So that is how a wound began to develop in me. And that wound became the motherboard of everything that I did. It became the processor. It became the filter of everything that I did in life. It became the eyes, the way I saw the world as a 15-year-old. At 15 years old, that is when a wound developed in my heart. And people didn't even know that that wound was there. They didn't even know that I changed that week. I changed to become somebody else. Where I trusted, I stopped trusting. Where I believed in authority, I stopped believing in authority. You see, a lot of things changed. My parents, that innocent girl was no longer innocent. And that innocent girl now viewed them in a different way. You see, I began to know that there's nobody for me. Nobody is there to defend me. Nobody is there to protect me. Nobody loved me. Nobody listens to me. I wasn't good enough for anybody, you see. And I want to tell you that that was the beginning of a very dysfunctional life. And most of the things that happened to me in my life stemmed from that incident, stemmed from that place. Like I said, the decisions, the way I did things, the attention, where I knew the only place I could get attention, men were better, I didn't want anything to do with a lot of female friends, I just wanted, to have male friends because I feel they could understand. I didn't feel like there was anyone for me. So with that came a lot of things, came a lot of rejection, came a lot. The wound itself was the main thing. So fast forward, I begin to live life like that, I begin to hide, I begin to be in a place when I'm in trouble. When somebody's speaking to me, I'm there, but I zone out, I begin to, protect myself, seek love in the wrong places. And by doing all these things, my heart is getting more bruised, more hurt. I began to be abused, to be bullied. All I just knew was to protect my heart and not to speak up because nobody was going to speak up for me. Nobody was going to do anything. So my heart began to have its own coping mechanisms. Fast forward, I grow up, as I'm growing up, I realized that there's a lot of rejection in my life. There's a lot of things that are unfortunate that are happening in my life, to the point that I thought, oh, there was a lot of witchcraft happening in my life. I'm not saying some of that didn't happen, maybe it did. But as I went into Bible college, when I went into Bible college, I realized that I was so in love with the Holy Spirit. I have a beautiful relationship with the Holy Spirit. I would pray. I would spend time with Him. I would hear His voice. I would have, the relief. I would have freedom for short-lived moment, and the next time it's like cycles are happening in my life of things that I didn't like. I'm feeling lethargic, I'm feeling tired, I'm getting into all this trouble, I've got, my relationships are not functioning well. And I remember when I was in my second year, it's like hell broke loose into my life. It's like rejection. It's like those same things that happened at school started to happen in my adult life, you see, where people just turn against you and no one really tells you what's happening. You see, I went to different churches for deliverance, I spoke to leaderships. Nobody could help me, but all people could do was could see the bad things I was doing, saying, the way I would speak, the anger, the behaviors, and people would maximize on that to the point where I felt like, whoa, there's no one to help me. What am I going to do? I'm doomed. My life is a mess. I'm not going anywhere. Lo and behold, this Easter 2013, I was about to get out of my house, so I go to the shops. And I just felt like on my door was an invisible door that was locked and I couldn't get out. And I knew that the Holy Spirit was talking to me. And I came back in the house. And I remember asking myself, what, Lord? What is it now? What you want? And the Lord began to speak to me, and the Holy Spirit told me to take a big paper and start writing every event that I remember in my life that hurt me. Everyone who hurt me, what happened? I spent that Easter in the house the whole 2 weeks. And as I wrote everything, and I didn't even need to remember on purpose, He was bringing things up Himself. You see, He was telling me at that time this happened, and I would write those things. And He began to tell me, forgive so and so, let go of that. And He began to teach me those 2 weeks. And I noticed every time I picked a name, I chose to forgive. Every time I let go of that incident, I would cry and I would cry. And I didn't know why I was crying, and when that crying, I couldn't control it. When it stopped, I felt lighter. I felt freer. I felt happier. Oh, I started enjoying doing this. And we did that for 2 weeks, and it came into months, and it came into 2 years, it came into years, you see, until one day He said to me, oh, it's time for us to heal that place. And that is what happened when I was 15. And I was like, no, nobody touches there. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want you there. Just leave that place like that. And he's a gentleman. He left me. The next time, he's like, we need to deal with that place. I'm like, no, we are not dealing with that place. Until I said, okay. And they said to me, if you don't deal with that place, you're not going to do anything in life. And I said, okay, fine. And so I was ready. I took my mattress, I put it on the floor because I felt in me that something was going to happen. I took my mattress on the floor. I closed my door. I made sure my son couldn't hear me. And I was like, Lord, I'm ready, but I'm afraid. And said, no, I'm with you. So what He had taught me to do is to, when I'm in that moment, to ask Him where He was, because I felt He neglected me. I felt He didn't love me. Although I had a relationship with Him, I couldn't really understand why He would allow something like that to happen to me. And so I was like, okay, God, I'm ready. Let's do this. And it's like when I went in that moment, I felt like I was reliving that pain again. But I began to do what He asked me to do. Ask Him, where are you? Where were you? And He started telling me, I kept you. I kept you up to now. I kept you. I made sure you didn't do anything bad because the enemy wanted you for his kingdom. So he was going to hurt you so bad so that you look for a way to revenge because nobody was there for you. And that way you would be marked for his kingdom. But I kept you from him. And you see, that moment I felt like when I was on the floor with the Lord, having that healing, something was being separated from my inside, something was being removed. A cluster was being broken. I felt like there were things coming out of me like a cutting, you see. And from that day, I started to walk in freedom. So I want to tell you that from that day, it doesn't mean that I stopped, things stopped happening in my life. No, things were happening, but I now knew how to really forgive, how to really let go. And He continued to walk with me on that journey of forgiveness, of healing, of my soul being prospered. You see, and so now I'm at this place whereby I no longer filter things through that place because that place, that motherboard was destroyed, that cluster was destroyed. He removed all that pain, all that hurt, you see. And that place had made me to begin to see people in different ways, to see life in a very, very, not only clouded, but dimmed, dark, from a dark place, and to allow all these misfortunes to happen in my life, all these unwanted pains, unwanted hurts, unwanted spirits to just come and live in my soul, you see. But that day I received healing. So coming from that time, what began to happen is that he started to show me, why I thought a certain way, why I functioned in a certain way, and he began to show me how to heal my heart, how to walk in total freedom, how to heal the brokenness that was in my heart with his help, strategies, ways, how to do it. And as I walked with the Lord, I discovered that when I'm speaking to people, sometimes I can actually tell why they think like that, why they are doing that, why they act like that, why they reason like that, the decisions, why they make decisions like that. You see, so this is how I started to do Prosper My Soul. So what I used to do is I used to just like with my friends in talking, I would just be coaching them without realizing I'm coaching them, you see. And this has actually helped me. It has actually helped me to, help other people walk their journeys, help them forgive themselves, help them forgive God, help them forgive environments, dates, let go, receive inner wholeness, inner healing. You see, I realized in this journey of mine that everything that happens to us matters to God. Everything that happens to us matters to God. We might think things have happened in our lives and nobody cares, nobody's willing to listen to us, but I want to tell you that it matters to God. Everything that happens in your life matters to God. And forgiveness became my door to healing. You see, I'd spend time going to different churches, different places to receive deliverance, and nothing would happen. But I would actually come from those places wounded, hurt, discouraged, labeled, until the Lord taught me true forgiveness. It opened a door to healing. It opened a door to prosperity. It opened a door to my life functioning well. I used to see myself doing a lot of things. I used to see myself having a bright future. But because of the limitations, because of the way I saw myself, the way I felt, the way I thought the world thought of me, the way I thought people, felt about me was a hindrance, and I couldn't walk in those dreams or those visions until God began to heal, to help me let go, to help me forgive, to deal with every issue one by one by one. And I began to see myself flourishing. See, you can say to me, how does forgiveness, how does forgiveness open, a door to healing? You see, a lot of things happen when we are holding unforgiveness. When we hold unforgiveness, what happens is that we block our own lives, because people think forgiveness is about the other person. Well, if I forgive that person, then they have won. No, forgiveness is actually about you. Forgiveness is about setting your own heart free. When you don't forgive, what happens is like that. You put yourself in a cage, you bind yourself, you invite unwanted, emotions, unwanted negative things into your life. But when you choose to forgive, you're kind of like, freeing yourself and opening up yourself for your environment, your atmosphere becomes clean, it becomes pure, you see. And what I discovered was repentance. When you repent, because when you're holding unforgiveness, you are doing something that's against your body, against your soul, against your mind. You're sinning. So when you repent, there is no room for the enemy to actually accuse you. There is nothing he can hold on unto. There is nothing of his in you. So for me, this is how my life started to prosper, that I began to see things just happen in my life because I had let go. I had been healed of that very, very painful moment. I had forgiven those people who were not there for me. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much, Angeline, for your sharing. So I guess the question for me is, did you ever find out what was reported at
I
school?
never found out because I left the school. It was something that I packed. You know, when you pack something behind your mind and you don't want to visit it, you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to hear anything about it. So until like 2013, I used to just think about it when something happened, when something painful, and it would just connect with that place. You see, and because it was so painful, I didn't want to even talk about it. So I never. And when when the Holy Spirit healed me, I didn't bother asking because what if I just didn't want to know about it. I just wanted it to go because it was a very painful time in my life.
We've got a few people participating on Facebook and YouTube. Tanya's talking about childhood traumas can shape us so much. That is so, so true. We've also got Selena chiming in from the UK. Thank you there, Selena. And Tanya again, wounds can protect us, but can also disrupt relationships. That's very, very true. I see that she's one of your coaches, which is fantastic. Awesome. So what parting thoughts do you have for people who are listening? Forgiveness seems to be the thread that ran throughout your presentation.
Yes.
Give
Yes.
us your nuggets of wisdom.
I would say, sometimes people think they're gonna feel like forgiving. You know, you're never gonna feel like forgiving because you feel justified in what happened. You feel like it's right for you to feel that way because they really did you wrong. And sometimes you
Yes.
feel like letting it go or forgiving them means they've won. It means you're no longer winning. But you feel like when you're holding on to that, you are the one in power. But what you don't realize is that that person probably doesn't even remember. They don't even
Yes.
know that's how you feel. You try to show them by signs, by things you say, but sometimes they don't even pick it up. You see, they just pick your bad behavior because when you have unforgiveness, you can act in a certain way and you don't even realize that you're acting in a bad way. You think it's good. You're supposed to be acting like that. But forgiveness is actually intentional. You choose to. You say, you know what? Yes, they did hurt me. Yes, they were wrong, but I'm going to choose to forgive because it sets me free, because it opens doors for me, because it
Yes.
allows me to enjoy life. So you have to actually make a decision. You have to actually find time. And the other thing is, we grow up hearing in church. I'm a church girl. You need to forgive. I've preached on forgiveness. We hear if a friend came to me and said, "Oh, so and so did this to me," the first thing I'm going to say is, "Oh, you just need to forgive them." But what we don't realize is that we have been taught, we have been told, we have read about this, but we don't actually know how to practically do it, to
Apply
walk in
it.
freedom. We don't know how to do that. You see, and I say, you know what? If you find out that there's an issue that keeps on coming, something that happened in the past that you keep on thinking about, or maybe something happens and then you just think of, or maybe you're just doing your dishes or your laundry and a thought comes and you say, oh, that person really hurt me. That is a sign to show that you need to deal with those little things that are creeping up. Don't just ignore them. Don't just let them go by. Don't just peck them back, but actually say, you know what, you thought. I'm going to deal with you. You are not a good thought. You're making me remember something that happened that was so bad, that is so painful. And I'm going to deal with you until I find your root, until I find where you're coming from. And I'm going to choose to uproot you by forgiving, by letting go. And so sometimes it's so difficult. You probably don't know how to do it. That's where you need somebody to come along you to walk that journey. And I've noticed that, when we have wounds on our hands, it's easy for us to go to the doctor. It's easy for me to say, oh, you know what, I'll go to the doctor tomorrow. I'll buy some medication from the pharmacy. I'll put a bandage. But when it's our inside, we want to hide it. We don't want people to know we're hurt. We don't want people to know we've a broken heart. We hide that. And we think by hiding it, nobody can see it. So I'm actually, no one knows what I'm going through, and that you're dying, you see. But what happens is that it festers. If you leave a wound here, not treated, it will fester, it will have pus, it will rot until maybe you can even die. It's the same thing. It's the same thing inside of you. You can fester, you can have sepsis, you can die, and it shows by attitudes, by the way you speak, the way you do things, alcoholism, things like different ways, different things. So
let's go back to Facebook. We've got a few more people chiming in. Parisai is saying that's true. Forgiveness frees you all around. And she also says the wrongdoer mostly feels justified doing what they do. Wow, that's very, very true. Well, thank you so much, Angeline, for being with us today. How can people get hold of you? Do you have a website? Where's the best place for people to find you?
I do have a website. It's called prospermysoul.com. Prosper My Soul.
Okay, so let me just add that to the bottom of the screen. prospermysoul.com. So if anybody wants to get hold of Angeline, there is her website. Please get in touch. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. We had yet another amazing summit. Thank you to everybody who chimed in on Facebook, on YouTube. Your questions, your comments really add value to everything we're doing when we are curating all of these beautiful stories. So have a fantastic day, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another group of amazing speakers. And Angeline, thank you so much for finishing off our day.
Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody. And if you do want to speak, please go onto our website. We're now recruiting speakers for 2022. We've got some big things coming up. Don't go to your grave with your story. Share your story. It could change somebody else's life. Bye for now, everybody. Thanks, Angeline.
Bye-bye.